Chapter 953. In the valley, peach blossoms danced in the air. One of them was laughing so hard that he was convulsing, one of them was as cold as Azura, and the other was in a miserable state. His clothes were ragged, and he looked like a beggar. He glared at Yi Qinghan angrily. "This is hilarious. I've seen so many rich kids, and they all say their father is so-and-so. Today, I've seen it for myself. The older the ginger, the spicier it is. How dare you say my nephew is so-and-so? Does Wu Yan know that you're using his name to trick people?" Bai Shaoxing laughed so hard that he almost cramped up. "You're courting death." Wulong roared. He wanted to tear the two of them apart. Yi Qinghan looked at Bai Shaoxing, who was laughing like crazy, and asked, "What are you doing here? Are you just here to laugh and watch?" "I'm here to get even with you. You dared to kill the affiliated sect of the 10,000 Arts Return to Origin sect. Do you know who my father is?" Bai Shaoxing pretended to be serious. No one knew if he was mocking Wulong, but he couldn't help but laugh. Wulong roared. He could tell that Bai Shaoxing was trying to provoke him. He roared, "Just you wait." After that, Wulong didn't have the face to stay any longer. He turned and ran. Yi Qinghan looked at Bai Shaoxing expressionlessly. He vaguely felt that Bai Shaoxing was strong, but his brain wasn't working very well. How could he laugh so hard over such a small matter? Was he that easily amused? "Let's get back to business. I don't need to make you kneel and beg for mercy. Apologize to the 10,000 Arts Return to Origin sect in front of everyone, give us 300 Chaos Divine Source, and let me take the remaining disciples of the Chaos Divine sect away. The world will see that the Shura sect is giving face to the 10,000 Arts Return to Origin sect, but not to the other two camps." "It's interesting just thinking about it," Bai Shaoxing said proudly. Yi Qinghan wasn't interested in teasing a child, so he said coldly, "You're really ambitious. If you don't want to die, then get the hell out of here. Also, get rid of all the affiliated forces in the nearby 300 regions. Otherwise, they'll be uprooted by the Shura sect within a year." "Azura King, I'm not that old bastard who relied on his nephew to make a living. I'll give you face, but you have to give me face too. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite." Bai Shaoxing's aura changed, and a golden whip appeared in his hand. Judging from its appearance, it seemed to be the spine of some kind of creature. However, it had been refined using a special method, causing it to shine with a cold light that could steal one's soul. Yi Qinghan was no longer courteous. He drew his saber and charged forward. With a sweep of his saber, the force of his saber cut through the void. However, it did not destroy any of the plants. It was clear how terrifying his control over his saber chi was. Bai Shaoxing's pupils shrunk. He tapped on the void with the tip of his foot and retreated. He waved the bone whip in his hand, and it was extremely sharp. Even if it hit an overgod, it would be able to whip their soul and shatter their body. The trajectory of the bone whip seemed to be random, but in reality, it was impossible to dodge. Its speed was so fast that it turned into a swimming dragon and wrapped around Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan was as fast as lightning. His figure followed the trajectory of the bone whip. When the bone whip touched the Shura battle armor, it did not hurt him at all. Swish, swish, swish. Yi Qinghan continued to move and got close to Bai Shaoxing. He continuously slashed out the 36 styles of the Shura soul-chasing saber technique. Every move was fatal. It contained the laws of order and time, delaying Bai Shaoxing's reaction. The edge of the saber tore apart Bai Shaoxing's white battle armor. 1 slash, 2 slashes. Bai Shaoxing's speed was indeed fast, and his combat strength was terrifying. Every time Yi Qinghan tore his battle armor, he would retreat in advance. He was not injured until now, but his outer clothes were completely torn apart. His inner armor was also shattered, and his skin was gradually exposed. Yi Qinghan did not seem to want to kill him. He started to attack his clothes. After finishing the 36 styles, he raised his saber and directly tore Bai Shaoxing's clothes apart, exposing his body. With a scream, Bai Shaoxing even abandoned the bone whip. He covered his chest with his hands and retreated a few meters. He screamed, "You pervert! Are you a man?" Yi Qinghan was also stunned. He didn't expect Bai Shaoxing to be a woman. When her clothes were flung away, her entire body was exposed, and her towering white legs were in full view. He was shocked and didn't attack because he was stunned. Otherwise, the blade would have slashed across her chest and flattened her like a door. Yi Qinghan looked at Bai Shaoxing in a daze. He also retreated a few steps and was stunned on the spot. "You are still looking. Bastard! I'm going to kill you." Bai Shaoxing's voice turned into a woman's voice. He wanted to bend down to pick up the bone whip, but when he stretched out his hand, he realized that his divine robe had been destroyed by Yi Qinghan. He retracted his hand. "It's actually a woman?" Yi Qinghan put away the Azura saber and pushed it to the side, no longer attacking. This was the first time Bai Shaoxing encountered such a situation. He was a little stunned and forgot that he could use his divine power to create a divine robe. Yi Qinghan had to remind him. He said hoarsely, "Use your divine power to create a divine robe to cover yourself first. I don't have women's clothes." Only then did Bai Shaoxing remember. He quickly created a white battle robe, grabbed the bone whip, and rushed towards Yi Qinghan. He wanted to silence him. Yi Qinghan reached out and grabbed the bone whip. He said coldly, "I just don't want to kill. Don't force my hand. Don't think that I won't kill just because you are a woman." The insane sect was still in its early stages of development. If he offended such a strong sect, the other party would definitely use a method of mutual destruction. When that happened, the Azura sect that he had painstakingly created would be completely destroyed. This was not in line with Yi Qinghan's plan. Bai Shaoxing could no longer smile. His entire body had been seen by Yi Qinghan. How could he face others if this were to spread? "What did you see?" Bai Shaoxing asked angrily. Yi Qinghan rolled his eyes. He felt that Bai Shaoxing was an idiot. He was not blind. It was so big and so white. What else could he see besides a pair of white buns? "I didn't see anything." Yi Qinghan replied unhappily. "What? It was so big. Are you blind?" Bai Shaoxing felt that he was insulted and immediately scolded. Yi Qinghan took a deep breath. This kind of unruly young lady deserved a beating. However, he held it in. He could not afford to fall out with the 10,000 Arts Return to Origin sect for the time being. He suppressed his anger and replied hoarsely, "Why do you ask if you know it was so big? Do I have to tell you that I saw everything?" "I don't care. You have to seal this memory. Otherwise, I will fight you to the death." Bai Shaoxing's handsome face was slightly distorted as he roared angrily. "Not interested. I will never seal my memory. You can still leave now. Otherwise, I will strip you naked and throw you into the crowd." Yi Qinghan threatened coldly. Bai Shaoxing was trembling with anger. If he could defeat Yi Qinghan, he would definitely fight with his life. "Remember to take away all the affiliated forces of the 10,000 Arts Return to Origin sect. Don't compete with me. I just don't want to be enemies with the three of you for the time being. Otherwise, the three of you will die," Yi Qinghan said sternly. Chapter 954. After Yi Qinghan's threat, Bai Shaoxing did not dare to say anything more. Not only did she fail to take care of the so-called Shura king, but she also suffered a double loss. Even her body had been seen by others. Some people did not care about their bodies, but a virgin like her could not take it. In the end, Bai Shaoxing had no choice but to run back. The direct disciples of the three sects all returned in defeat, which shocked the world. They did not know where the Shura sect came from. The two camps were also investigating the origin of the Shura sect. However, gossip was a fearful thing. The nearby regions did not know about the Shura sect before, but now, word spread like wildfire. It was as if their ancestors had interacted with the Shura sect before. Those who did not know about the Shura sect were ignorant. Because of this, everyone insisted that the Shura sect was a powerful sect with a history of 1,000,000 years and was extremely vicious and merciless. With the proof of all the sects in the nearby regions, it could be concluded that the Shura sect had nothing to do with Yi Qinghan. The crazy sect was only established a few thousand years ago, and Yi Qinghan was a master god who was not even 10,000 years old. How could he be related to the Shura sect? After Bai Shaoxing returned, she did not mention a word about this trip. She could not wait for the Shura king to die immediately. That was why no one knew about it. The three major forces were eyeing the Asura sect like tigers eyeing their prey. The Asura sect didn't care about them at all. Instead, they forcefully flattened the nearby regions. After conquering a region, they began to establish subsects, firmly controlling the region in their own hands. The Asura sect grew stronger day by day, and the Asura battle squad was like the sun in the sky. They were invincible. Ordinary overgods couldn't withstand their joint attacks at all. When they encountered a truly powerful enemy, the Asura king would act forcefully. The demon god mountain and the sorcerer tribe's camp kept each other in check. Bai Shaoxing strongly opposed the unifying sect to attack the Shura sect, fearing that the Shura king would reveal the scene in the valley. Therefore, the Shura sect was expanding rapidly. The Shura sect had already announced the 300 regions. They only needed 300 small regions to break through the barriers of each region to form a huge Shura domain. Currently, they had already suppressed more than 130 regions. Now, the three camps were waiting for the Shura sect's reaction after conquering the 300 regions. If they continued to expand, they would definitely attack and suppress them. The powerful sects in the nearby 300 or so regions immediately retreated, while those without had already given up resistance. As soon as the Shura sect arrived, they immediately surrendered. The Xiolua sect treated the surrendered sects with a soft policy. They did not bully or rob them. As long as they paid enough tribute every year, they would even protect them. This way, the Xiolua sect instantly gained a firm foothold. Half a year later, all 300 regions were occupied. With the Ravenous Wolf region and the Mythology region as the center, the region extended to the sides and the front, completely encircling the Endless Star System. If one wanted to attack the Endless Star System again, they would have to first pass through the Azura region or take a detour through the chaotic universe's Astral River. Not only would that be a waste of time, but they would also have to face the terrifying universe's black holes. Those black holes and hurricanes could tear apart ordinary chief gods. The Shura sect united the 300 regions and officially announced the name of the Shura domain. They were willing to develop peacefully with the world and would no longer fight. This made the nearby regions breathe a sigh of relief. The people in the three camps also breathed a sigh of relief. The Shura sect was too strong. They were a complete dark horse that was born from nothingness. No matter how strong the enemy was, they would be destroyed easily. The Atlas battle physique was heavily injured. If it were other battle physiques, it would be difficult for them to escape with their lives. Therefore, the Sorcerer tribe and the Demon God Mountain did not dare to force the Shura sect too much. Once the Shura sect was forced into a corner and joined the other side, it would be like going for wool and coming home shorn. The 10,000 Arts Return to Origin sect was silent. As a huge sect that inherited the primal chaos, they did not have any burdens. They did not attack the Shura sect, which surprised everyone. Even the people in the two camps were surprised. It was reasonable that they did not attack, but why did the 10,000 Arts Return to Origin sect not attack? In fact, the Sorcerer tribe and the Demon God Mountain both hoped that the 10,000 Arts Return to Origin sect or the Insane sect would attack and take back the Mythology domain. In this way, both sides would suffer losses. If they wanted to survive, they would have to rely on the two powerful camps. When the time came, they would extend an olive branch and get a powerful affiliated sect without any effort. However, the Insane sect and the 10,000 Arts Return to Origin sect only clamored on the surface and did not attack. This made their plan fail. Yi Qinghan turned into the Shura king and sat in the center of the Shura domain. The Shura battle team was also stationed there. He recruited the original members of the Upright Sun Chamber of Commerce and began to manage the Shura domain. Yu Xingyang had already transformed into the Dao. Now his grandson Yu Zilong was in charge of the Chamber of Commerce. He had some dealings with Yi Qinghan. Their Chamber of Commerce had been trusted by Yi Qinghan since a long time ago. However, Yi Qinghan did not tell him his identity. He only spoke to him as the Shura king. Your grandfather is a great man. I admire him very much. I hope you can reach his level. From today onwards, the Upright Sun Chamber of Commerce will be the only chamber of commerce in the Shura domain. It is also a chamber of commerce recognized by the Shura sect. The construction of the Shura domain will be handed over to you. I hope you will not disappoint me and disgrace your grandfather, Yu Zilong. Yu Zilong looked at the Shura king, sitting in the main hall in surprise. He did not expect him to know his grandfather. The Shura sect will support your actions. I want you to build a large part of the Shura domain into a crazy sect within 10 years. If your grandfather can do it, you can do it too. You may leave. Yi Qinghan said hoarsely. Yu Zilong was very excited to see the Shura king's trust in his chamber of commerce. He was a merchant, and the crazy sect had also sent him a message asking him to cooperate with the Shura sect. He was naturally willing to show off his skills. Soon, the Shura domain began its economic recovery war. The Shura domain's laws were strict. In troubled times, severe punishments were used. As long as there was a vicious crime, it would be punished with the death penalty. No matter how terrifying the criminal's background was, the Shura battle team would personally enforce the law. Yi Qinghan wanted a large and prosperous region that could attract strong cultivators to spend money. Only then would the crazy sect have the resources to use. There were many ways to attract strong cultivators to spend money. The most powerful of them were the auction houses, brothels, godly weapons, godly pills, and so on. Yi Qinghan pondered for a moment and continued to plan on a piece of paper. I want to pull the revered Sky auction house into the Shura domain and build the largest auction house. As for the brothels, Yi Qinghan thought of the ant in the Luo Tian pavilion. She was a talent, and it would be a waste to not use her. For the sake of resources, Yi Qinghan did not care about his reputation. Brothels were everywhere. If others could do it, why couldn't he? I'm not a saint. As long as I can earn resources and break the blockade, I'm willing to be an assassin, Yi Qinghan said to himself hoarsely. Suddenly, his eyes lit up. He could also participate in the assassin business. Soon, Yi Qinghan began to build an assassin organization. He transferred Yan Yunbei over to train assassins. Yi Qinghan's reaction was extremely fast. He immediately acted upon his words. As the Azura king, he traveled a long and arduous journey to the headquarters of the revered Sky auction house. He went straight to the point, hoping to seek cooperation and use the fame of the revered Sky auction house to attract guests from all over the world. Chapter 955. In the headquarters of the revered Heaven auction house, a white-haired old man looked at Yi Qinghan. His eyes were fixed on the Azura mask as if he could see through the mask. His gaze was extremely destructive. However, Yi Qinghan's mental fortitude was extremely strong. He met the old man's gaze and did not move at all. The old man had been in charge of the revered Heaven auction house for countless years. His Taoist title was Revered Ancestral God. He commanded the thunder and lightning of the world and was also known as Revered Thunder God. He knew all the thunder divine arts and was the strongest expert in the two factions. Of course, this was under the condition that the Serpent God did not appear. After all, the Serpent God came from the primal chaos. Other than the second-generation Sorcerer God, who was a peak existence in the primal chaos era, no one else was comparable. I have no reason to offend the two great factions in order to support your Azura sect's growth. Right now, whether or not the Azura sect can survive is another matter. My revered Heaven's auction house will not make a loss. Fellow Taoist, please return. The ancestral god's ancient voice reverberated. He quickly rejected Yi Qinghan's invitation. The Azura region was a newly risen region and was a very dangerous region. Anyone with a business mind would know that it was a virgin land. It was easy to develop, but the risks were also very high. It was possible to lose everything and even sacrifice many elites. The revered Heaven auction house was involved in all the major regions, but it wasn't willing to involve the Azura region. Yi Qinghan was silent for a while and said hoarsely, "If Azura domain can't even protect itself, how can we strengthen Azura domain?" Dao friend, it's not that you can't see that the two factions, the 10,000 arts returned to one sect and the crazy sect, are indeed strong. However, they are restraining each other. No one will be the first to attack Azura domain. Otherwise, both sides will suffer losses and others will benefit. They are all smart people, and I believe you are too. You can see the potential of Azura sect. As long as we have a firm foothold in Azura domain, they will have to accept us even if they don't want to. The ancestral heavenly deity still shook his head. His vision was very far. When it came to the location of the deathmatch, he would at most establish a small auction house. The truly large auction houses would be in their own territories or some powerful and independent sections. They would not be controlled by the two factions, for example, the primitive Saint Realm. In a place like the Azura region, it was possible to build a small auction house. But, according to Yi Qinghan's request, he was unwilling to build a super large auction house. The risks were too high and the returns were too low. I'm very sorry, but this old man can't do things according to your plan. After all, if I were to establish a new auction house in the Azura region, this old man would have to use all of my resources to help the auction house develop. This is equivalent to developing the Azura region. That would be equivalent to standing on the side of the Azura sect. Now that both sides have yet to express their stance, my revered heavenly auction house would be a fool if we were to express our stance. Fellow Taoist, please leave. I won't see you out. The ancestral heavenly deity waved his hand, indicating for Yi Qinghan to leave. The Azura sect had no foundation and had just emerged. It was hard for people to trust them. In the end, Yi Qinghan failed to convince the ancestral heavenly deity. Yi Qinghan helplessly turned and left. As he walked, he pondered. Since the revered heavenly auction house was not willing to help, he could only look for other helpers. There were many auction houses in the world, but none of them could be compared to the revered heavenly auction house. The top 10 auction houses were Revered Heavenly Auction House, Sacred Treasure Auction House, Primal Chaos Auction House, Cloud Opening Auction House, Tao Enlightenment Auction House, Wine Immortal Auction House, Immemorial Auction House, Pinnacle Auction House, 9 Worlds Auction House, and 6 Paths Auction House. The Revered Heavenly Auction House was the strongest, leaving the other 9 auction houses far behind. The other 9 auction houses combined might not be as strong as the Revered Heavenly Auction House. Yi Qinghan had no choice but to pay a visit to the Sacred Treasure Auction House. Unfortunately, he was still rejected. Once again, he went to the Primal Chaos Auction House. They did not dare to offend the 2 great factions, nor did they dare to offend the 10,000 Arts Return to Origin sect. They refused to even meet with Yi Qinghan. Along the way, Yi Qinghan transformed into an Azura and constantly moved forward. He encountered several powerful master gods. These master gods were definitely from the 2 great factions. Their cultivations were extraordinary, but they did not reveal their true forms. They exchanged over 1,000 moves, but none of them were able to use their signature moves. In the end, they were all repelled by him. The Azura King's name became more and more famous, and the master gods he repelled also became more and more powerful. Experts constantly appeared in the primal chaos plane to challenge the Azura King. In the end, Yi Qinghan went all out. Those who challenged him either died or were injured. Not a single one of them managed to escape unscathed. The Azura King's name spread far and wide, but he was continuously rejected by the 9 great auction houses. Yi Qinghan was in a bad mood. Without the support of the auction houses, it would be difficult for the Azura region to develop quickly. If that happened, his plan would be interrupted and he would not be able to carry it out. The strength of the arrogant sect would be nothing but empty talk. The last auction house, the 6 Paths Auction House, was the weakest among the 10 great auction houses. They had the least number of branches. The main reason was that they only dealt in the true quality of goods. Coupled with the fact that they did not have a strong backing, it was difficult for them to develop. In the 6 Paths domain, Yi Qinghan strode forward, his Azura battle robe fluttering in the wind as he headed straight for the 6 Paths city, where the 6 Paths Auction House's headquarters was located. Yi Qinghan's appearance quickly alerted the 6 Paths Auction House. Sir 6 Paths was the founder of the 6 Paths Auction House. He was ambitious and courageous. He had always wanted to expand the auction house. Although he knew that cooperating with the Azura sect was dangerous, he still wanted to meet the Azura King and see what kind of support he could provide. Sir 6 Paths went out of the city to welcome Yi Qinghan. He looked at the vigorous Azura King. His deep eyes could see through everything. This aura alone was enough to prove his strength. Coupled with the recent battles, the Azura King's name had surpassed Yi Qinghan, Li Feng, and Gu Qingyu. In addition to his battle physique, it seemed that no one in the younger generation could compete with him except for Wu Jiang and Mo Li. I have heard a lot about you. You are indeed the Azura King. Your aura can defeat a king, but you don't have any killing intent. I am impressed by your control. Sir Sixpads seemed to be in his 40s. He had long black hair and looked very vigorous. His eyes were full of wisdom. His determination and courage were not something an ordinary person could compare with. Yi Qinghan looked at Sir Sixpads and knew that he was interested in participating in the development of the Azura domain. He was just waiting for his promise. I, the Azura King, will not beat around the bush. I can only promise you one thing. Defeat the 9 great auction houses and make the Sixpads auction house the #1 auction house. My Azura sect will protect the transportation of the auction items. If the items are stolen, my Azura sect will be responsible for getting them back. If we can't get them back, my Azura sect will pay you back double. Yi Qinghan said in a low voice. If those 2 factions suppress my auction house. Sir Sixpad's biggest worry was still the 2 factions. It was also what the other auction houses were worried about. When our Shura sect is strong enough, they will only add flowers to the brocade instead of suppressing us. They will restrict each other and will definitely not make any more enemies. Everyone in the world knows this, but the other auction houses do not have the courage to gamble. Now, it's up to you whether you dare or not, Yi Qinghan said hoarsely. Let's go into the city and talk. I have the courage, but everything needs to be considered. I want to test the potential and strength of the Xiao Luo sect. The Reverend of 6 Realms thought for a while and then led Yi Qinghan into the 6 Realms city. Chapter 956. Sixpads City. Venerable Sixpads and Yi Qinghan arrived at a courtyard in the auction house's headquarters. The scenery was picturesque, and everything one could think of was there. Yi Qinghan answered all the questions that the 6 Dao warrior had. He told him about the potential of the Shura sect, but he did not involve the crazy sect. The purpose of the Shura sect's appearance could not be known to the world. The crazy sect could only lay low and wait for the right time. The 2 discussed for half a day and decided to cooperate. In order to build momentum, Yi Qinghan decided that the first auction would be held a year later. He also took the initiative to help Sixpads auction house search for the auction items. If they wanted to shock the world, they would need some supreme treasures from the Chaos era, such as great skills, Chaos-level Master God weapons, divine skills, and godly pellets. After the discussion, Yi Qinghan started to build a gate to Sixpads domain. He was ready to form an alliance with Sixpads auction house. He was a space Master God, so building a gate was not too difficult. As long as he mastered the technique, it was only a matter of time. After spending a month, Yi Qinghan opened the gate between Sixpads domain and Shura domain. After the gate was built, both sides announced that they had formed an alliance. The other 9 auction houses laughed at Sixpads auction house for being crazy. Even the Sixpads auction house had an internal dispute. However, Sir Sixpads stood his ground and chose to cooperate with Shura sect. Yi Qinghan quickly returned to Shura domain through the gate and ordered people to build a large auction house. It was twice the size of Inner Saint Realm's auction house. When Sixpads auction house announced that they were cooperating with Shura sect, the factions that were cooperating with Sixpads auction house drew a clear line with Sir Sixpads. Some even banished the auction house from their territories. For a moment, Sixpads auction house was in the eye of the storm. It was like a duckweed in a storm that could be destroyed at any time. Before the 2 factions could say anything, Sixpads auction house was already on the verge of being destroyed. Once they said anything, even Sixpads domain would be destroyed. The Sixpads auction house had a huge disagreement. Some of the elders started to draw a clear line between themselves and the dominator of Sixpads and took away their own resources. The Reverend of Sixpads' face turned ugly. He did not expect that this group of people could share riches with him, but they could not share his troubles. When Yi Qinghan found out about the situation, he once again came to the Sixpads domain and expressed his firm will. He coldly said to the people who wanted to split up, If you want to leave, you can leave now. If the auction house wants to grow, how can a motley crew accomplish anything? His words enraged the troublemakers, causing them to leave the Six Paths domain one after another, taking away all the customers they had. The Six Paths auction house was practically an empty shell now. Without destruction, there can be no construction. Senior Six Paths, if you want to surpass the 9 great auction houses, then you can't let these people stay. Give me 1 year, and I'll make sure you're satisfied, Yi Qinghan said. The Six Paths warrior felt helpless. The auction house had already fallen apart, and only 1/10 of the people were still loyal to him. The rest had already left, and many of the experts from the Six Paths domain had left as well. The defense of the auction house was extremely weak, and if he were to fall out with the Shura sect now, the auction house would soon be swallowed up by others. The more than 300 Shura experts that had been nurtured in the Endless Star system were all sent to the Six Paths domain by Yi Qinghan to help the Reverend of the Six Paths domain. They were all Shura, and the 300 warriors were no weaker than the first batch of Shura battle team. As long as they did not scatter, even if the powerful sects and clans came to attack, they would be able to hold on until the Shura sect arrived. After the defenses of the 2 domains were set up, Yi Qinghan used a month to forge the 7-foot crazed maniac. He then removed the Shura battle armor and let Shura King inherit the title of Shura King. He then moved around the Shura domain in a high-profile manner, while he crossed hundreds of large regions and traveled a long distance to the Sky Monster domain. Yi Qinghan's target this time was the Python Demon Clan. Only by avenging Blue Yao would she be able to stay in the Six Paths auction house and help change her identity. From then on, Blue Yao would no longer exist. Since she had made such a huge sacrifice, he naturally had to help her get rid of her enemies first. Yi Qinghan found the Python Demon Clan's territory, which was a subsidiary territory of the Giant Dragon Clan. He continued to move forward with a strong momentum, charging madly into the Python Demon Clan's territory. Upon entering the Python Demon Clan's territory, Yi Qinghan erupted with his most powerful aura. He slashed the Python Demon Clan's main camp and engaged in a fierce battle with the Python Demon Clan's chief. The shockwaves from the battle destroyed more than half of the Python Demon Clan's tribe, killing countless people and nearly wiping out the entire clan. However, Yi Qinghan did not hold back. He forcefully suppressed the Python Demon Clan, not sparing a single one of their shape-shifting experts. Their demon cores were taken away, and the Python Demon Clan's chief's head was chopped off by Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan's madness alarmed the Giant Dragon Clan. At least a dozen adult giant dragons surrounded Yi Qinghan tightly. Roar! The leader of the giant dragons saw the Python Demon Clan in a mess and was immediately enraged. He growled, "Yi Qinghan, how dare you come to the Divine Demon Clan's territory and wreak havoc? Do you have no respect for the Giant Dragon Clan?" Yi Qinghan retracted his madness and looked coldly at the Giant Dragon Clan. He realized that the Giant Dragon Clan's bloodline was not pure. They were all mixed breeds and could only be somewhat related to the Dragon Clan. They were not the giant dragons of the legends. He no longer held back and transformed into a coiled dragon. He looked down at the Divine Demon Clan and roared, scaring the Giant Dragon Clan into submission. They did not even dare to struggle. This was the true might of the Giant Dragon Clan. The pure bloodline suppressed all demon clans. Are you the Giant Dragon Clan's chief? Aren't you a human? The Giant Dragon Clan's expert asked in horror. Yi Qinghan flew around the Divine Demon Clan's territory in a high-profile manner. He did not care about the Giant Dragon Clan at all. He returned to his original body and left in a high-profile manner. The reason why Yi Qinghan was so high-profile was because he wanted to distance himself from the Shura King. It was also because of this that the news of Yi Qinghan appearing in the Divine Demon Clan's territory and killing the Python Demon Clan spread in all directions. The people of the 2 camps immediately stopped doubting the identity of the Shura King. He was really a new top existence. This was because on the same day, the Shura King fought with Li Feng of the Insane Sect in the Shura territory. In the end, Li Feng was slightly inferior and lost. The news spread quickly. Yi Qinghan's plan was perfect. He not only distanced himself from the Shura King, but also raised the Shura King's status. He also created the appearance of discord between the insane sect and the Shura territory. The two camps naturally hoped that the Shura territory and the insane sect would be at odds. This way, the insane sect would be restrained by others. In order to suppress the insane sect, they even took the initiative to help the Shura territory. As a result, the Six Paths auction house's situation became a lot better. Those who chose to leave the Six Paths auction house suddenly changed their expressions. It was unrealistic to want to pull the Six Paths auction house closer to their territory after driving out the auction house. Auction houses could promote the development of a region. It was very important. Not every region had a large auction house. Once a region had a large auction house, it would quickly develop. This was a kind of effect that people called the auction house effect. Under the lead of the Celestial Treasure Battle Body, many experts of the insane sect began to search for treasures. They were laying the foundation for the first auction of the Six Paths auction house. Although it seemed like different events, they were tightly linked because of the relationship between Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan's plan was carried out quietly, and the two camps knew nothing about it. Chapter 957. The news of Yi Qinghan appearing alone in the Celestial Demon territory reached the Demon God Mountain. The Demon God Mountain sent 4 warriors to the Celestial Demon territory in an attempt to eliminate Yi Qinghan and cut off the Guangzong's path. The Divine Demon territory was extremely vast, second only to the Demon God Mountain and the Wu race. There were endless forests and mountains without any signs of life. There was a clear difference between shape-shifting warriors and humans. The Divine Demon territory hated humans. The 4 constitutions stayed outside the Divine Demon territory, waiting for Yi Qinghan to appear. The Black Tiger War Body, the Sun Moon, the Stars, and the Sky Pillar were all super-existences. None of the 4 constitutions could fight against Yi Qinghan alone, but when they worked together, Yi Qinghan was no match for them. Yi Qinghan didn't know that the 4 constitutions were working together outside the Divine Demon territory. As soon as he stepped out of the Divine Demon territory, he felt a murderous aura. The piercing pain made his hair stand on end. There's danger. What a strong sense of danger. Did the top warriors of the Demon God Mountain appear? The Divine Bird also woke up from its seclusion. It looked around in shock. The cold wind was chilling. There was no one around, not even a shadow. Yi Qinghan summoned Berserk and landed on the ground. He leaned against a mountain and released his consciousness to search for the location of the strong enemies. However, the 4 constitutions had hidden their aura to the point where even Yi Qinghan and the Divine Bird couldn't find them. Familiar aura. They're all constitutions. There seems to be a lot of them. Yi Qinghan couldn't find their location, but he was sure of their identities. Why are the constitutions so shameless now? They've learned to work together. How about we run? The Divine Bird said with disdain. Yi Qinghan nodded. If the constitutions could work together, he would be waiting for death if he didn't run. However, he had to wait for the constitutions to appear. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to escape if he ran into their encirclement. The area within 1,000 miles fell into silence. If the constitutions didn't appear, Yi Qinghan wouldn't move. It was a competition of patience. 2 hours passed, 4 hours passed. It was getting dark, and Yi Qinghan was rather surprised that the battle constitution didn't seem to be attacking. What are they doing? Why are you wasting time with me when you have so many constitutions? Yi Qinghan was puzzled. As he watched the sun set in the west and the night breeze brushed past, he felt a little uneasy. He kept feeling that something was wrong. At that moment, the 4 constitutions didn't move. Instead, they notified the Demon God Mountain and mobilized a large number of experts to suppress Yi Qinghan outside of the Sky Demon region, not giving him any chance to escape. Apart from the Celestial Monster territory, experts came from all directions. They had the advantage, yet they did not attack. It meant they were looking for outside help. Yi Qinghan immediately reacted. He wanted to retreat towards the Sky Demon area, but just as he moved towards the Sky Demon area, a murderous aura came from the edge of the Sky Demon area. He had no choice but to fall back and look in the direction of the Sky Demon area. A purple thunder leopard rushed out. It bared its teeth and arched its body slightly in an attacking posture. This monster had definitely transformed, but it had revealed its true form. It was clearly preparing to kill Yi Qinghan. Go away. You and I don't know each other. Are you going to join forces with the demon god mountain? Yi Qinghan said coldly. We both have our needs. They want your life, but I want your dragon bloodline. That was. The purple thunder leopard spoke in human language. Then, it spat out a bolt of lightning. The purple lightning was extremely sharp. Before it even approached Yi Qinghan, he could already feel the aura of death. It was a primordial variant railing leopard. Yi Qinghan recognized the origin of this ferocious beast. It was born with the ability to command lightning. It was probably even sharper and more terrifying than the lightning of an ancestral god. It was even more lethal. Boom! The purple lightning transformed into a heavenly dragon and rushed towards Yi Qinghan. It was extremely fast. Even Yi Qinghan had to dodge in a panic. The lightning struck an ancient mountain beside him, turning it into fine powder and vanishing into nothingness. Yi Qinghan retreated several steps. He could not help but be shocked when he saw that the armor on his waist had actually been torn apart by the purple lightning. Only now did he understand the might of the variant railing leopard. The railing leopard rushed forward and tore through space. It directly appeared in front of Yi Qinghan. Its sharp claws and fangs attacked his throat and chest respectively. The fangs were even more aggressive than a master god weapon. They flickered with a cold light. Shwa! Yi Qinghan flew to dodge. He avoided the fangs, but he could not avoid the claws. The divine robe on his chest shattered upon contact. In front of the railing leopard, the master god armor was actually so weak. Sword rainbow pierces sun and moon. A sword rainbow pierced through the sun and moon. Its energy shattered the mountain range as it attacked Yi Qinghan from behind. Before Yi Qinghan could escape, the railing leopard once again spat out purple lightning to attack from the front. Then, the astral combat constitution commanded the stars within 1,000,000 kilometers, illuminating heaven and earth. A low voice reverberated. Stars slash the firmament. Shwa, shwa, shwa. Every star struck out with a ray of blade light. The starlight was the blade light. It was fierce and ruthless, and its killing intent sword. It completely sealed off Yi Qinghan's left side. Die for me! Qing Tian attacked from the right side. His front, back, left and right were all blocked. Every attack could kill a master god. A black shadow pounced from the sky. It was the chaos ferocious black tiger evolved from the black tiger Liang. The 5 experts sealed off all of Yi Qinghan's escape routes. Even if he could dodge one, he could not dodge a second one. Even if he could dodge 2, there were still 3 more terrifying ones. They could severely injure Yi Qinghan in a single move. Yi Qinghan's hair stood on end. He clenched his fists tightly and swept away thousands of troops. Time and space around him reversed. Heavy berserk attack, 10,000 techniques fall. What? Yi Qinghan slashed out with his blade. The flow of time slowed down significantly. The surrounding rocks crumbled as the blade light shook the sky. The 7-foot-long blade tore through the void, instantly breaking the attacks of the Black Tiger Combat Constitution, Astral Combat Constitution, and Qing Tian Constitution. However, there was no time to defend against the railing leopard and the sun and moon's attacks. He could only erupt with his blood and 5 elements origins to protect his chest and throat, forcibly resisting the attacks of the 2 experts. The sun and moon transformed into a rainbow battle sword. With a destructive attack, they tore apart Yi Qinghan's divine power from his back. Meanwhile, the railing leopard's sharp claws pierced through Yi Qinghan's left shoulder and pierced into his flesh. Dragon blood spurted out as it tore off a piece of flesh. Boom! Yi Qinghan was sent flying by the sun and moon combat constitution. His body flew forward with the railing leopard in tow. A tearing pain in his body woke him up from his dizzy state. He grabbed the railing leopard's head with his left hand and pulled it off his shoulder. Boom! Yi Qinghan raised his leg and swept out, sending the railing leopard flying. He had no time to kill it. His figure flashed and dodged the second attack of the sun and moon combat constitution. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Yi Qinghan did not want to be entangled any longer. He summoned the Spear of Time and turned the area within 1,000 miles into a time domain. He slowed down the speed of the 5 experts' attacks and turned to flee toward human territory. Tiger Liang transformed into a black tiger and flew 1,000 miles in an attempt to block Yi Qinghan's path. Whoosh. The Sun and Moon combat constitution blocked from the other side. The others flew into the sky and burrowed into the ground. A mountain was uprooted and smashed into Yi Qinghan's back. He was forced to change his trajectory and waste a lot of time. The distance between them was constantly shrinking. Yi Qinghan, you can't escape today. The Atlas Combat Constitution roared. He hated Yi Qinghan the most and wanted nothing more than to crush Yi Qinghan. At this moment, he erupted with all his strength and pierced through the void with his spear. He wanted to block Yi Qinghan's path. Yi Qinghan's spirit had expanded to the extreme. Even the slightest changes in space could not escape his control. His life and death were on the line. The slightest carelessness would lead to his death. Chapter 958. Yi Qinghan was extremely tense as he constantly dodged and shifted through space. Wherever he passed, the 5 experts shattered everything. If he was just a bit slower, he would have died. Swish, swish, swish. Purple lightning and sword light intertwined. The black tiger soared into the air, its sharp claws shining with cold light. Yi Qinghan was already forced into a corner. As long as it was a path of survival, he had to take it. He gradually approached the human territory and left the divine devil region. Several figures charged out from the human territory. They were all sovereigns. Their attacks were all fatal as they tried to stop Yi Qinghan. They were clearly experts from the demonic God Mountain's subordinate forces. They were all renowned existences. No matter how weak they were, they could still block Yi Qinghan's path. Yi Qinghan knew that he couldn't fight them head-on, so he had no choice but to tear open the void and escape again. The 5 cultivators chased after him relentlessly, drawing a long rainbow in the sky. More and more people joined in the pursuit. Yi Qinghan, lead the arrogant sect and submit to the demonic God Mountain. We'll spare your life. The black tiger constitution roared, but it moved faster and faster. It turned into a black cloud that covered the sky, leaving behind afterimages. Yi Qinghan's eyes were cold as he constantly shifted. He did not even have time to reply. His figure flashed across the sky above a city. The experts of the various cities all hid in their cities and looked up at the battle in the sky. They could not help but be shocked by Yi Qinghan's cultivation. He had actually used 4 constitutions, the mutated railing leopard from the divine devil region, and so many sovereigns chasing after him. Even now, they still could not completely suppress him. Another figure charged out from the front. It was also a sovereign who wanted to stop Yi Qinghan. Charging out of the front line of defense could directly break through the encirclement and reduce the distance by quite a bit. Yi Qinghan's eyes flashed coldly as he violently drew a white arc, striking the sovereign ahead like a bolt of lightning. Boom! The other party used all of his divine power to stop Yi Qinghan for a moment, but Yi Qinghan's strength was simply too great. The substandard sovereign artifact in his hand was actually cut apart by the violent force. His body crashed into the city below like a cannonball. Yi Qinghan twisted his waist and shattered the void. He rushed out of the encirclement and rushed forward again. How big was a region? A group of people swooped down to outflank Yi Qinghan in this small region and fought until the heavens collapsed and the earth cracked. However, they were still unable to completely encircle Yi Qinghan. Once Yi Qinghan broke out of the encirclement, they would have to waste a lot of time to surround him again. Railing leopard and black tiger were the fastest. They flanked from both sides and were so fast that they couldn't be traced. It was hard to predict Yi Qinghan's trajectory. He sometimes moved forward, sometimes backward, sometimes to the left, and sometimes to the right. Although it slowed down his escape, it also reduced the chances of him clashing head-on with others. Nobody knew how strong the experts ahead of him were. If they were comparable to someone with a constitution, they would not be able to escape and would be completely surrounded. Now, 12 experts had appeared to surround Yi Qinghan, and the number was still increasing. If it had been anyone else, they would have long since given up on resisting. In my name I command the 5 elements, and the 5 dragons shall ride side by side. The essences of metal, wood, water, fire, and earth transformed into 5 dragons that appeared out of nowhere. Yi Qinghan rode on the 5 dragons and charged into the mountains and rivers. He began to show his strength and wanted to break through the enemy's encirclement. Swish, 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 swish. 3 more figures charged out from the front. Sword Chi soared into the heavens and the sword light tore through everything as they attacked Yi Qinghan. Motherfucker, just how many sects have the demonic god mountain subdued? Yi Qinghan was furious. He couldn't imagine that so many experts would rush out from this remote region. The demonic god mountain's reaction was just too fast. He found it a little hard to endure. The divine bird was also somewhat alarmed. There were just too many experts and there were more and more of them. If this continued, they would be surrounded sooner or later. Charge towards the southwest. I sense a chance of survival, the divine bird said in a hurry. Yi Qinghan swept out with his blade, breaking apart the 3 attacks coming from the front. His gaze swept towards the southwest, and he urged the 5 elements battle dragon to charge towards the southwest. Dark clouds rolled in the sky, and the aura of primal chaos was especially dense. The experts behind were still rapidly closing in. They were now racing against time. The rewards given by the demonic god mountain were just too great. As long as they could suppress Yi Qinghan, they would obtain a primal chaos divine ability regardless of life or death. As long as they obtained the divine ability, it wouldn't be a problem for them to establish a powerful sect. Yi Qinghan clenched his teeth. In such a difficult battle, his divine force was being consumed at an unimaginable speed. Even the 13 godhoods couldn't withstand such consumption. Swish! Yi Qinghan suddenly accelerated and rushed out of this small region. There were actually quite a few experts in front of him. They were all wearing the same clothes, but they didn't have any intention of attacking. They were only defending. Fellow Taoist of the Myriad Law Domain, I am the demonic god mountain's black tiger battle body. Please help me capture the criminal Yi Qinghan. My demonic god mountain will definitely reward you generously. Tiger Liang couldn't help feeling anxious when he saw that Yi Qinghan was about to leave this small region and enter the Myriad Law Domain. The Myriad Law Domain was too strong, and even the demonic god mountain didn't want to provoke it. If Yi Qinghan ran to the Myriad Law Domain, it would be very difficult to fight. Otherwise, the demonic god mountain would have to take responsibility for the aftermath of the battle. We won't interfere in your matters. Yi Qinghan, you can't enter the Myriad Law Domain. Otherwise, don't blame us for attacking. Swish, swish, swish. More than 10 figures soared into the sky and blocked the Myriad Law Domain's barrier, not allowing Yi Qinghan to enter. Yi Qinghan also didn't want to start a conflict with the Myriad Law Domain. Otherwise, he would be asking for trouble. But now, he could either retreat or break through to the east. However, there were powerful enemies behind him, and there were several experts rushing to the east. That large region was probably a force of the demonic god mountain. Humph! Yi Qinghan coldly snorted and pretended to break through to the east. Just as the Myriad Law Domain experts relaxed, he used space shift and rushed into the depths of the Myriad Law Domain. Boom! More than 10 attacks from the Myriad Law Domain shattered the attack. They wanted to shake Yi Qinghan out of the different space. Myriad laws converged, and their imposing aura made people despair. They were far stronger than ordinary overgods, and although they constantly used their minor abilities, they still couldn't stop Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan ran into the Myriad Law Domain, infuriating Tiger Liang and the others. They wanted to rush in but were stopped by the Myriad Law Domain experts. Tiger Liang, my Myriad Law Domain won't interfere in your grievances, but you can't fight inside the Myriad Law Domain. An expert from the Myriad Law Domain blocked Tiger Liang and said in a deep voice, "Then why didn't you stop Yi Qinghan outside the Myriad Law Domain?" Tiger Liang angrily asked. "He's too fast. We intercepted him. You saw it too. Although we couldn't stop him, we will inform the Myriad Law Domain to expel him from the Myriad Law Domain. We won't interfere in your matters." The myriad law domain experts didn't budge an inch, unwilling to let the demon god mountain experts enter the myriad law domain. Good, I hope I can still see Yi Qinghan here. If your myriad law domain allows Yi Qinghan to leave the myriad law domain through another place, my demon god mountain will definitely seek justice from the myriad law domain. Tiger Liang angrily said. The myriad law domain experts nodded. Yi Qinghan couldn't break through the blockades of the various cities. He would have to leave the same way he came in. Yi Qinghan had no choice but to enter the myriad law domain. He clearly knew that the myriad law domain couldn't become enemies with the demon god mountain and could only rely on a large number of creatures as cover to escape into the city and wait for an opportunity to act. However, when the myriad law domain learned that Yi Qinghan had run to the myriad law domain, they directly sealed off all the major cities and mobilized a large number of experts, wanting to drive Yi Qinghan out of the myriad law domain. For a time, the wind and clouds stirred, and killing intent spread in all directions. They didn't give Yi Qinghan any chance of survival. Chapter 959. In the 10,000 law domain, all the major cities were completely sealed off. People were allowed to leave, but not enter. The city lord personally guarded the city gates. The 10,000 arts returned to one sect forcefully demanded Yi Qinghan to withdraw from the 10,000 law domain. The sect's experts were all dispatched to seal Yi Qinghan at the border of the 10,000 law domain, not allowing him to enter the hinterland. But Yi Qinghan had disappeared after entering the 10,000 law domain. He didn't even take up the task. Wasn't leaving the 10,000 law domain courting death? There were so many experts outside. Once he was surrounded, the 4 constitutions and the railing leopard would be able to kill him. Deep in the mountains, Yi Qinghan was hiding in a valley. He was discussing with the divine bird how to avoid this calamity. We need to go deep into the hinterland. The myriad methods return to origin sect only doesn't want to get involved in the enmity between me and the demon god mountain. We don't have much enmity between us, so they won't give up 1 or 2 large cities just to force me out. Yi Qinghan pondered for a while and said in a low voice. This divine bird thinks so too. If we want to go to the hinterland, we should go to the city of 10,000 arts. I don't believe that the 10,000 arts return to one sect will give up on the city of 10,000 arts. The divine bird laughed sinisterly. 10,000 Laws City was the largest city in the 10,000 Laws region. It was the family city of the 10,000 Laws returning sect's inner sect disciples, as well as the headquarters of the sect master's family. It was impossible for the 10,000 Laws region to give it up. However, it was very difficult to escape to the hinterland from here. After all the roads had been sealed. The 10,000 Law realm's attitude was very firm. They would not intervene in the feud between the crazy sect and the demon god mountain. Neither side was easy to provoke. The crazy sect would seek revenge for the smallest grievance, and the demon god mountain was too powerful. The 10,000 Law realm could only choose to expel Yi Qinghan from the 10,000 Law realm. They would not help or offend either side. The sect master of the 10,000 arts returned to origin sect personally came out to request Yi Qinghan to withdraw from the 10,000 Law domain and increase the number of people searching for him. An elder-level figure walked out from Demon God Mountain, his name Holy Sovereign King. He had lived for countless years and was incomparably powerful. He personally came to 10,000 Laws region to pay a visit to 10,000 Laws return to one sect's sect master, by Yelu. The two great experts faced each other. There was no need for so much nonsense. There was only a clash of interests. The two of them each occupied one of the two mountain peaks as they conversed from afar. Yi Qinghan was right in the middle of the mountain peak, but they did not notice him. The Sage King went straight to the point and said majestically, "As long as your sect helps the Demon God Mountain to take down Yi Qinghan, the insane sect will collapse without bringing any trouble to your sect. Moreover, the Demon God Mountain promises that the 30 small domains near the Myriad Law domain will be divided into the Myriad Law domain. One person was worth 30 regions. This was the highest price. Other than Wu Jiang and the Luminosity Battle Physique, only Yi Qinghan was worth that much." However, Bai Yelu shook his head. He was not interested in such a small benefit. The disadvantages outweighed the advantages. If they failed, the Gui sect would have to face the wrath of the Kuang sect. Sorry, this old man is only responsible for driving Yi Qinghan out of the myriad law domain. I will not interfere in your matters. Bai Yelu decisively rejected the Sage King's proposal. South of the Six Paths domain, 100 regions will all belong to the myriad law domain. In addition, there is also a primal chaos divine ability, the great desolate imprisoning heavenly finger. This is my demon god mountain's bottom line. If you are willing, then cooperate. If not, then pretend that this old man never came. The Sage King spoke again. This price had already exceeded the price of the luminosity battle physique. The great desolate imprisoning heavenly finger could imprison everything with a single finger and shatter the sky. When cultivated to the peak, it was definitely the most terrifying existence among the overgods. It was comparable to the battle physiques of the primal chaos era. Bai Yelu nodded without hesitation. Everything was based on benefits. We want to capture Yi Qinghan alive. Is that okay? The Sage King asked indifferently. The value of capturing Yi Qinghan alive was huge. First, they could take back the ethereal physique. Then, they could force the Kuang sect to submit to the demon god mountain. At that time, they would have an absolute advantage against the witch god's faction. For Yi Qinghan, the demon god mountain was willing to give up such a huge benefit. No problem. Let the people of the demon god mountain come in and help. He is now north of the Yellow Sky River, south of the myriad law domain's border. In this small area, he can't overturn the heavens, let alone escape. Bai Yelu said proudly. It was just capturing one Yi Qinghan. With two powerful sects working together, let alone one Yi Qinghan, even if there was another one, they would not be able to escape. Therefore, he seemed to have seen the outcome. He directly stretched out his hand and said, "Give the great desolate imprisoning heavenly finger to this old man first. As for the south of the Six Paths domain, we will talk about it after we capture Yi Qinghan." Below, Yi Qinghan's eyes flashed coldly. He did not expect his value to be so great. The great desolate imprisoning heavenly finger was a top-grade secret technique from the primal chaos era. It was a special technique that was introduced in the secret history of the primal chaos. The second-generation sorcerer highly praised it. At this moment, he had an idea. Since the myriad arts returned to one sect had agreed to help, they could fight at any time. Why not snatch the divine ability first? On the mountain peak, the Sage King's fingertip trembled. A primal chaos metal scroll appeared in his hand. It was filled with the profound mysteries of the divine ability's laws, and it stirred up the laws in all directions. Whooshed at the Sage King directly through the metal scroll at Bai Yelu on the other side of the valley. Shwa! An even faster figure rushed out from below as fast as lightning. It directly intercepted the great desolate imprisoning heavenly finger and disappeared from their sight in the blink of an eye. The Sage King was stunned, and so was Bai Yelu. He did not expect that Yi Qinghan, whom they had discussed capturing, would be right under their feet. He had even snatched the primal chaos grade super divine ability in advance. Just as they were in a daze, Yi Qinghan had escaped without a trace. "Little brat, you're courting death." The Sage King was furious. With a palm strike, a giant hand covered the sky and tore the void apart, causing the surrounding space to collapse. Yi Qinghan's figure appeared and fled towards the Yellow Sky River. As long as he crossed the Yellow Sky River, he would be able to force the myriad arts return to one sect to compromise. Myriad arts descend, draw ground as prison. Bai Yelu was furious. He formed a seal with his palms and controlled 1,000 miles. His vision turned into a domain as he wanted to capture Yi Qinghan. Boom! The Sage King saw Yi Qinghan's figure clearly stagnant. He immediately mobilized his divine power and turned his palm into a finger. Great desolate imprisoning heavenly finger. What? A finger broke the sky and imprisoned the 8 desolates. It directly attacked Yi Qinghan's back. This was the true expert of the older generation. Any one of them could stand shoulder to shoulder with Yi Qinghan. They could even suppress him. Once they made a move, they could command all the laws in the world. Everything before them had to follow their will. Open! Yi Qinghan turned around and slashed out with his saber. It hit the huge finger mark right in the middle. Instantly, Qi rushed into the galaxy. Yi Qinghan's figure shattered the myriad arts heaven-imprisoning domain. Pooh. Yi Qinghan groaned and spat out a mouthful of essence blood. However, he was not shocked. Instead, he was happy and used the momentum to escape the domain. He was a space master god and a time master god after all. He first used the time domain to stop the two from chasing him. Then he used the space profound mystery and disappeared into the mountain range. He left behind a sentence that reverberated in the air. Many thanks for senior's teachings. This he thanks you. I'll take my leave first. Don't send me off. The Sage King did not expect Yi Qinghan to use his great desolate imprisoning heavenly finger to escape the domain. He could not help but be furious. He shattered the time domain and chased crazily. Bai Yelu was also angry. However, he could not blame the Sage King for attacking recklessly. He could only chase after Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan rushed toward Huang Tianhe with all his might. There were a large number of experts on both sides of the Huang Tianhe, but there were always some weak points. He was quick to notice a weak point. He mobilized his god force and held the primal chaos divine source in his hand. He slashed his saber across the sky, creating a huge water dragon that shook the entire Huang Tianhe. The water dragon swept up tens of thousands of water splashes, turning into sharp divine weapons that attacked all the experts, causing them to be flustered. Yi Qinghan had a water origin body. They had overlooked this point. Otherwise, they would not have stopped him near the Huang Tianhe. Yi Qinghan took advantage of the chaos to escape from the Huang Tianhe and rushed toward the Myriad Arts realm. This time, the Myriad Arts realm was anxious. Behind them was their headquarters. If Yi Qinghan attacked, the losses would be immeasurable. The Myriad Arts realm could not bear it. Chapter 960. The 10,000 Law domain was in a state of panic. Experts were as common as clouds. 4 great battle constitutions, heroes from all sides, and a variant railing leopard. The 10,000 Law domain's domain child, Yi Jingxing, was the chief disciple of the 10,000 arts returned to one sect. He was also Bai Yelu's son and Bai Xiaoxing's brother, Bai Fengyun, a top existence of the younger generation and a super existence of the older generation. All of them had come out of seclusion to force Yi Qinghan out. This was no longer a matter of the demon god mountain alone. Now that Yi Qinghan had run to the 10,000 Law domain's headquarters, they had no choice but to act. Bai Yelu flew into a rage out of humiliation. He didn't expect Yi Qinghan to be so treacherous. He stole his divine ability, the great desolate imprisoning heavenly finger, and even ran towards the hinterland. Wasn't this clearly making an enemy out of the 10,000 arts returned to one sect? Even if you have to dig 3 feet into the ground, you must find Yi Qinghan. You must not let him enter the 10,000 Law city. Bai Yelu angrily ordered all the experts of the 10,000 Law domain to carry out a carpet search from the hinterland. He also demanded that the 10,000 Law city be completely sealed off. Without the 10,000 arts returned to one sect's orders, no one could enter the city. Yi Qinghan didn't care about this. He was now in the depths of the 10,000 Law domain and couldn't leave. Once he left the 10,000 Law domain, he wouldn't be able to survive even if he had 10 lives. In short, he wouldn't leave even if he was beaten to death. Yi Qinghan used the Earth Escape technique to rush towards the hinterland. However, his target wasn't the 10,000 Law city, but the 10,000 arts returned to one sect. The most dangerous place was the safest place. Everyone thought that Yi Qinghan was running towards the 10,000 Law city, but no one thought that he would rush towards the 10,000 arts returned to one sect. One had to know that the 10,000 arts returned to one sect's grand elders and great limit experts were all there. This group of people was so powerful that even the second-generation sorcerer didn't dare to fight them head-on. After all, there were too many of them, and they were all about to die. Yi Qinghan escaped the 10,000 Law domain's search through the ground and gradually approached the 10,000 Law domain. The 10,000 arts returned to one sect was located 3,000 miles east of the city of 10,000 arts, in a mountain range with dense spiritual energy. The palace towered into the clouds, incomparably majestic, and the profoundness of the 10,000 arts returned to one sect was extremely dense. Yi Qinghan emerged from the ground and saw that there were houses everywhere. They were very messy and there were no walls. However, if one looked carefully from above, one could see that there were 8 trigrams arrays in the houses. It was like a maze. People who were not familiar with the arrays could get lost here. There were many young people walking back and forth on the path. There were handsome men and beautiful women. Their clothes were slightly different from Bai Xiaoxing's, but there was no difference in essence. This seems to be the headquarters of the 10,000 Arts Return to One sect. Yi Qinghan followed a young man and quietly approached a small village. As soon as he approached the village, he saw the young man holding his head high and pointing at the villagers. The general meaning was that he was now a disciple of the 10,000 Arts Return to One sect and was no longer an ordinary person. These villagers were just lowly commoners and had to cooperate with him, give him resources, and let him become strong first before he could help the villagers. This young man looked like a villager from a small village. However, after joining a powerful sect, he looked down on the villagers. The villagers did not dare to offend him and allowed him to plunder the village's resources. He took all of them, including divine crystals and herbs. He even asked him to come back every other month to take the resources. The villagers were angry but did not dare to say anything. The young man's parents also became arrogant. Their house was the most luxurious, and their faces were red. They dominated the villagers' will. Yi Qinghan looked at all of this and shrugged. He had a plan in mind and stayed outside the village to wait for the young man to come out. The young man had a meal at home and then walked out of the village. He was ready to return to the 10,000 Arts Return to One sect. However, just as he left the village, he suddenly blacked out and lost consciousness. Yi Qinghan brought him to a valley and forcibly plundered his memories. He searched his soul and memorized his identity and memories. He was just a small outer sect disciple. His name was Li Fei, and his village was called Li Family Village. Gotcha! Yi Qinghan gently twisted Li Fei's neck and peeled off the skin on his face. He took away the yin and yang ring and the 2 sets of clothes of the Return to One sect for his own use. Shua! Yi Qinghan stuck Li Fei's skin on his body and slightly modified his body. He actually looked exactly like Li Fei. Fire! Yi Qinghan waved his hand and completely erased Li Fei's corpse. Now, as long as he did not expose himself, no one would think that a small outer sect disciple was the Yi Qinghan that everyone was looking for. After erasing all traces of Li Fei, Yi Qinghan left the valley. Based on Li Fei's memories, he returned to the 10,000 Arts Return to One sect's outer sect. There were many disciples in the mountain gate. When they saw Li Fei, they immediately humiliated him. Some even beat him up. Li Fei, hand over the protection fee. There's a total of 100 high-grade divine crystals for this month. If you don't take it out, we'll beat you to death. A few slightly older young men surrounded Yi Qinghan, glaring coldly at him. Yi Qinghan looked at the people before him. He knew that they had joined the 10,000 Arts Return to One sect a few years ago, a few years earlier than Li Fei. They were senior disciples and had a high chance of being promoted to inner sect disciples. They bullied disciples who had just joined the outer sect and robbed resources for themselves. This was an unwritten rule of the 10,000 Arts Return to One sect's outer sect. Yi Qinghan extended his hand and slapped the young man in front of him, sending him flying. He glared at the others coldly and said coldly, "Get lost." Yi Qinghan's goal was clearly not to become an outer sect disciple. Instead, he wanted to join the inner sect and secretly learn the 10,000 Arts Return to One sect's secret techniques. Therefore, he wanted to establish his authority. Li Fei had learned the outer sect's 46 shadowless kicks. Although it was a lower 9 skills, it would not be a problem for him to cripple a half-step lord if he used it himself. When the senior disciples saw that Li Fei dared to resist and even hit their senior brother, they were enraged and charged at him together. Bang bang bang. Bang. Yi Qinghan performed the 46 shadowless kicks, launching dozens of kicks in the blink of an eye. Each kick was aimed at their vital points. More than 10 senior brothers fell to the ground and howled in agony, attracting a large group of outer sect disciples. Soon, the group of outer sect powerhouses was defeated. Even the deacons were alerted. Yi Qinghan pretended to be afraid and hid in a corner, trembling. The sect rules forbid internal fighting, but you lot dared to fight in private. Li Fei, how dare you hit your senior brothers? Do you have a death wish? Deacon Bai Yuqi reprimanded angrily. Master Deacon, I didn't do it on purpose. They hit me first and robbed me of my resources. Yi Qinghan looked at Bai Yuqi in horror. The fear in his eyes did not seem to be an act at all. Bai Yuqi was well aware of the customs of the outer sect. New disciples were often bullied, and they usually turned a blind eye to it. However, she did not expect that the cowardly Li Fei would dare to hit them. Moreover, he was so fast that he defeated more than 10 disciples who were about to join the inner sect. Bai Yuqi looked coldly at the outer sect disciples on the ground. She could not believe that Li Fei could defeat them. She frowned and asked, Li Fei, did you do this? Yi Qinghan nodded, fearfully, and said, they wanted to steal my divine crystals, so I hit them with the 46 shadowless kicks. I didn't expect their defense to be so weak. Master, I didn't do it on purpose. Please don't expel me. I'm the only one in my village who entered the outer sect. If I'm expelled, my parents will kill me. Bai Yuqi obviously did not believe that Li Fei could defeat so many people. She waved her hand and 2 of the strongest outer sect disciples walked over. They were already qualified to join the inner sect and were close to the high-level high god level. Li Fei, on the other hand, was only a low-level high god. Use the shadowless kicks you just used again. As long as you can defend against 3 of their attacks, I'll spare you. Bai Yuqi said calmly. Chapter 961. Bai Yuqi looked at Yi Qinghan. It was hard to imagine that he could defeat so many senior brothers who had more combat experience than him. He thought to himself, could he be a genius? Yi Qinghan looked at the 2 high-level high gods, feeling troubled. It would be easy to defeat them, but it would be difficult to defeat them without any flaws. Bai Yuqi could not care less. He said to Gong Wu, who was ranked 2nd among the outer disciples, behind him, Gong Wu, go and fight with our junior brothers. Gong Wu looked at Yi Qinghan in disdain. Was a piece of trash who had joined the outer sect for less than a year and had only cultivated the basic shadowless kick worthy of his challenge? Kid, make your move. I'd like to see how you defeat our junior brothers, Gong Wu said arrogantly with his hands behind his back. Yi Qinghan clenched his fists. He wanted to go up and fight, but he did not have the courage to do so. Gong Wu had perfectly portrayed the image of a cowardly outer sect disciple. He was definitely an award-winning actor. Bai Yuqi's aura sank. He said coldly, make your move, or I'll kick you out of the sect right now. Hearing this, Yi Qinghan twisted his waist and lifted his leg to kick. His speed wasn't too fast, but it was enough for an ordinary high-level high god to dodge. Most importantly, the angle of his kick was very strange. Yi Qinghan's left leg kicked first, but his right leg kicked Gong Wu's head in advance. Boom! Gong Wu did not react in time. He reached out to block with his left leg, but his head was kicked by the right leg. His body tilted uncontrollably and slammed into the stone floor. Bang! Gong Wu was kicked more than 10 meters away. He was dizzy and did not react for a long time. Bai Yuqi was stunned. He was a half-step lord, so he had seen it clearly. The kick had been switched mid-air. It had been switched smoothly and was as fast as lightning. It was truly a shadowless kick. Not only that, it was quite powerful. How dare you sneak attack me? I'll kill you. It took Gong Wu a long time to react. He stood up and pounced at Yi Qinghan. His fist was filled with Qi Jin, and Yi Qinghan was forced to retreat. Yi Qinghan pretended that he was no match for Gong Wu and kept retreating. He looked for an opportunity to kick Gong Wu's chin again and again, sending Gong Wu flying to the ground. Senior brother, I didn't do it on purpose. Yi Qinghan pretended to be scared and reached out to help Gong Wu up. But Gong Wu was furious. Before he could get up, he swung his iron fist at Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan's body staggered and dodged the attack. The seemingly coincidental movement actually contained a lot of skill. He reached out his hand and pulled, throwing Gong Wu behind him. His body swayed left and right before he finally found his footing. Boom! After Gong Wu was sent flying, he crashed into a wall. his head was bleeding and he was completely confused. Bai Yuqi frowned. She couldn't see what was so special about Li Fei. This kind of fighting technique seemed more like luck than true ability. Yi Qinghan still looked at everyone with a terrified expression, vividly portraying the thoughts of a small fry. Not bad. You have some potential. From today onwards, this old man will accept you as my last disciple. Strive to enter the inner sect with your 2 senior brothers at the end of the year. Bai Yuqi nodded and decided to nurture this Li Fei in front of her. But she didn't know that he was Yi Qinghan, whom the infinite law realm was chasing. Yi Qinghan knelt down in fear and thanked her with tears of gratitude. He had finally gained a foothold in the infinite coalescence sect. With Bai Yuqi as a deacon, it would be easier for him to move around in the future. Bai Yuqi really put in a lot of effort to nurture Yi Qinghan. She trained Yi Qinghan in tactics, psychology, and divine arts, hoping to dig out his luck and turn it into true ability. In the infinite law realm, everyone was frantically searching for Yi Qinghan. The large cities were tightly locked, and no one could enter, cutting off Yi Qinghan's chances of entering the city. Who would have thought that Yi Qinghan wouldn't enter the city at all? Instead, he ran to the infinite coalescence sect and even became a popular outer sect disciple. Every large city was overseen by a top expert. Bai Fengyun was overseeing Infinite Law City, while Yi Jingxing was overseeing the Infinite Law Realm's central city. Bai Shaoxing had only come out of seclusion after being provoked by Yi Qinghan. As soon as he came out, he saw that the Infinite Law Realm was facing a great enemy. After asking around, he found out that Yi Qinghan had infiltrated the Infinite Law Realm. When he saw Bai Fengyun's serious expression, he couldn't help but snort. I can't beat that Azura King, but do you think I can't beat Yi Qinghan? Don't let me find you or I'll beat you to death. Little sister, don't come out for a while. This Yi Qinghan is indeed very powerful. He managed to escape from the encirclement of 4 great battle constitutions and the mutated railing leopard. He even managed to steal a divine ability from Father and the Sage King without being caught. This kind of person actually ran to the Infinite Law Realm in order to avoid being hunted down. He wants to use innocent lives to threaten the Infinite Law Realm into compromising. This person is definitely not a good person. Bai Fengyun had a jade-like appearance. He was dressed in white and somewhat resembled Bai Shaoxing, but his masculine aura was denser. Brother, are you not his match? Bai Shaoxing was astonished. In his opinion, among the younger generation, even the battle constitutions might not be able to beat his powerful brother. Even the Azura King might not be his match, so how could he not beat Yi Qinghan? Bai Fengyun shook his head and tightened his grip on his divine sword. He muttered, in terms of escaping and hiding, I'm far inferior to him. As for fighting, I used to be very confident, but now I don't have much confidence in winning. Return to the sect or enter the city to play. Don't run around for the next few days, Bai Fengyun said with a commanding tone. I don't want to. I want to fight this Yi Qinghan. Bai Shaoxing solemnly vowed. No. Enter the city now, or don't blame me for tying you up. Bai Fengyun's aura changed. A will actually imprisoned Bai Shaoxing's figure, making her unable to move. Brother, don't be angry. I'll enter the city now. Bai Shaoxing was helpless. This brother of hers was easy to deal with and doted on her, but when it came to her safety, he would not hesitate. He would immediately tie her up. This was not the first time. Bai Shaoxing dejectedly entered the Infinite Law City. The city was bustling with noise and prosperity. There were many elite geniuses and hedonistic young masters because their backgrounds were not small. Yi Qinghan was diligently cultivating in the Infinite Law return to one sect. His improvement was very fast, which made Bai Yuqi think highly of him. Some of the divine arts that only inner disciples could cultivate were given to him. Yi Qinghan actually didn't need much effort to learn these simple secret arts. Now, he was cultivating the great desolate imprisoning heavenly finger. He placed the fruit of primal chaos in his room and cast a spell to seal the door. His cultivation improved by 1,000 miles in a day. The great desolate imprisoning heavenly finger was definitely the strongest divine art he had ever cultivated. The great desolate imprisoning heavenly finger was also known as the heaven-breaking finger. Once the finger imprint was released, heaven and earth would be attacked. It was as if the 8 desolates were imprisoned, and the 8 desolates were all within the attack range. The great desolate imprisoning heavenly finger's strongest battle record was destroying an inheritance with a single finger. Moreover, it was a powerful inheritance. In the primal chaos era, a divine sect with a primal chaos giant god was instantly destroyed by the great desolate imprisoning heavenly finger. The primal chaos giant god did not even have the chance to struggle. Yi Qinghan flipped through the great desolate imprisoning heavenly finger metal scroll. The mental cultivation method was divided into 9 layers. Every time he comprehended a layer, the power of the great desolate imprisoning heavenly finger would increase by 10 times. When he cultivated it to the peak, killing a peak over god with a single finger would not be a problem. Chapter 962. Yi Qinghan flipped through the great desolate imprisoning heavenly finger iron scroll. The mental cultivation method was divided into 9 levels. Every time he comprehended a level, the power of the great desolate imprisoning heavenly finger would increase by 10 times. When he cultivated it to its peak, killing a peak over god with a single finger was no problem at all. Although the Sage King was powerful, he had only cultivated the great desolate imprisoning heavenly finger to the 4th level. He had not even touched the edge of the 5th level. Yi Qinghan secretly cultivated and had to deal with other people checking on him. It was very difficult for him to cultivate in peace. It took him a full 3 days to fully comprehend the 1st level of the mental cultivation method. This was also because there was a time delay. A year in the room was only a day in the outside world. After staying in the 10,000 Arts Return to Origin sect for half a month, Yi Qinghan became the #1 person in the outer sect under Bai Yuqi's care and nurturing. He was deeply loved by Bai Yuqi and even taught some minor divine arts to him. Yi Qinghan began to slowly unleash his potential and talent. Bai Yuqi did not doubt that he had unearthed a genius and would give Yi Qinghan all the good things. On this day, Bai Yuqi came to Yi Qinghan's private courtyard. Yi Qinghan sensed it in advance and opened the door to welcome him. He said respectfully, "Master, may I know what task you have for me? Your disciple will definitely complete it." "Li Fei, you're very good. You might be the pride of this old man's life. I can't become a over-god, but you still have a chance. Therefore, I'm going to nurture you with all my might. However, you don't have much merit or contribution points. I'm going to give you a task now," Bai Yuqi said in a deep voice. "Master, please tell me," Yi Qinghan asked respectfully. Every year, the 10,000 Arts Return to Origin sect will send a batch of resources into the city of 10,000 Arts and distribute them to some special families. You should know that these tasks are secretly handed over to the outer sect disciples to avoid unnecessary attention. This year, I'll leave it to you. Don't make any mistakes. When you return, I'll recommend you to the inner sect elders as an inner sect disciple," Bai Yuqi said calmly. When Yi Qinghan heard this, he was overjoyed. This was good news. After entering the inner sect, his movements would not be restricted and he would have his own training room. He would be able to fully comprehend the great desolate imprisoning heavenly finger in a short period of time and leave this troublesome place. "Many thanks for Master's nurturing," Yi Qinghan said with a bow. Bai Yuqi handed over a bag containing some brocade boxes. Each brocade box had the name of a family written on it. Inside the brocade boxes were yin-yang rings. Inside the rings were naturally resources that the 10,000 Arts Return to Origin sect had given to some special families. This was also a very important test. For outer sect disciples with special potential, they would first test their loyalty. If they tried to steal these resources, they would not live to see the next day. The transportation route was predetermined. If they deviated from the route, the 10,000 Arts Return to Origin sect would instantly kill the disciple transporting the resources. Yi Qinghan took the bag and the order to enter the city and rushed towards the city of 10,000 Arts according to the route given by Bai Yuqi. Yi Qinghan walked unhurriedly for a distance of 3,000 miles. At the same time, he inquired about what the higher-ups of the Demon God Mountain and the 10,000 Arts region were doing. The surrounding villagers were indifferent to Yi Qinghan's matters. Yi Qinghan could only increase his speed and rush towards the city of 10,000 Arts. When he was still several thousand meters away from the city of 10,000 Arts, Yi Qinghan saw Bai Fengyun standing outside the city walls. His white clothes fluttered as he walked back and forth outside the city gates. His seemingly thin and weak body hid a power that even Yi Qinghan had to be wary of. Very powerful. It can be compared to the battle physique. Yi Qinghan took a deep breath and adjusted his state. Whether or not he could avoid this great calamity depended on whether he could hide it from Bai Fengyun. Yi Qinghan's steps were steady as he quickly approached the city. With the order in hand, he walked towards Bai Fengyun. There were only a few people entering the city. The gate was sealed and only Bai Fengyun was guarding the gate. As soon as Yi Qinghan approached the city, Bai Fengyun placed his hand on the hilt of his sword and looked at him indifferently. "Sir, I am Li Fei, an outer disciple of the 10,000 Arts returned to one sect. I am carrying out a mission under the orders of Bai Yuqi's master. This is the order, please let me pass." Yi Qinghan bowed and did not dare to raise his head. A small character like Li Fei would definitely not dare to raise his head in front of an existence like Bai Fengyun. Bai Fengyun reached out and took the order. He knew about this kind of mission, but he did not immediately let him pass. Instead, he stared at Yi Qinghan and said in a deep voice, "Raise your head." Yi Qinghan slightly straightened his body and raised his head to look at Bai Fengyun. His eyes were filled with envy, reverence, and a trace of excitement and flattery. If he was not a small character, he would definitely not be able to make such an expression. Bai Fengyun looked at the expression of the young man in front of him and did not feel that there was anything wrong with it. This was because even inner disciples would have the same expression when they saw him, let alone outer disciples. However, the perception of a strong expert told him that there was something wrong with this young man. "You are Li Fei?" Bai Fengyun asked coldly. "Yes, I am Li Fei. I am Li Jia villages," Yi Qinghan quickly replied. Bai Fengyun suddenly pulled out his sword. Without any sword aura, the tip of the sword was 1 centimeter away from Yi Qinghan's throat. If it was a few centimeters closer, Yi Qinghan's life would be taken. Gulp! Yi Qinghan's forehead was covered in cold sweat as he sat on the ground. His heart was thumping and he was extremely nervous. At this moment, his nervousness was definitely not an act. It was real. If Bai Fengyun really wanted to kill him, he would definitely not be able to escape. "Sir?" Yi Qinghan pretended to be frightened and did not know what to do. Bai Fengyun was getting more and more suspicious. This kind of behavior should not be wrong, but why did he feel so uneasy? "Li Fei," Bai Fengyun murmured. He waved his hand and said to one of the leaders on the city wall, "Come down and help him complete the mission." Before Yi Qinghan could speak, Bai Fengyun said to him, "You can go back now. I will send someone to help you complete the mission." Yi Qinghan quickly got up and thanked him. He turned around and wanted to go back. His body felt like it was floating as if he was frightened. Bai Fengyun looked at Yi Qinghan's back in astonishment. He thought to himself, "Am I overthinking things? This person's behavior is definitely not Yi Qinghan's. Even if an expert like him tried to hide it, he would not be able to hide it so perfectly." Yi Qinghan's figure gradually disappeared into the distance. He felt that there was something wrong with that figure. There was a desolate aura that was definitely not something a child should have. Bai Fengyun suddenly frowned and coldly shouted, "Stop!" Yi Qinghan was shocked. He thought to himself, "Not good. Bai Fengyun is definitely suspecting me." At their level of cultivation, it was definitely not easy to fool them. Whether it was Yi Qinghan or Bai Fengyun, when they saw a suspicious person, even if there were no flaws, they would still feel uneasy. This was the sixth sense of a god. Bai Fengyun stepped behind Yi Qinghan and pointed his sword at Yi Qinghan's neck. He coldly said, "Turn around slowly. Don't speak. If you dare to do anything, I will take your life." Yi Qinghan slowly turned around and looked at Bai Fengyun in horror. His hands were clenched together and he did not know what to do. Bai Fengyun looked at the terrified Yi Qinghan. He was confused by his sixth sense, but he did not want to let go of any clues. If Yi Qinghan really infiltrated the myriad arts returning sect, then there would be big trouble. Follow me. I will bring you to complete the mission, Bai Fengyun calmly said as he sheathed his sword. Thank you, my lord. Yi Qinghan softly muttered. Walk in front. Although Bai Fengyun's sword was already sheathed, his hand did not leave the scabbard. He signaled Yi Qinghan to walk in front. Yi Qinghan walked back to the city gate and took back his bag. The city gate opened and he entered the city. The city was filled with people and was extremely prosperous. Most of them were disciples of the myriad arts returning sect's elder rank. As the number of disciples increased, myriad arts city grew bigger and bigger. Gradually, there was a division between the branch family and the direct family. Bai Fengyun was waiting for Yi Qinghan to reveal a flaw, so he invited him into the city. As long as there was a flaw, he would not show mercy. Yi Qinghan was familiar with the route and knew that the first place he had to go was the Bai family, which was the sovereign's family. It was also the city lord's mansion of Myriad Arts City. Following the route, Yi Qinghan quickly arrived at the Bai family and met the Bai family's great elder. He did not forget the rules of presenting resources. He did not dare to be careless because Bai Fengyun was still watching behind him. Big brother, why did you run home instead of guarding the city gate? This person looks familiar, like I've seen him somewhere before. At this time, Bai Shaoxing entered the hall from the back garden and curiously looked at Bai Fengyun. Yi Qinghan's pupils shrank. He didn't expect to see Bai Shaoxing here. He also didn't think that Bai Shaoxing would have such a deep impression of the Azura King. Even after changing his clothes and face, he could still recognize himself from his body shape. Greetings to the little princess. This little one is Li Fei, an outer disciple of the Myriad Arts returning sect. During the assessment a year ago, I was fortunate enough to meet you. You might have forgotten. Yi Qinghan recalled Li Fei's memories and knew that Bai Shaoxing had appeared in the sect's disciple assessment a year ago. However, he didn't have the qualifications to meet him. However, it was impossible for such an important person to remember so clearly, so he spoke with a straight face. Chapter 963. In the Bai family's hall, no one thought that the siblings with the highest status in the myriad law domain would be interested in an outer sect disciple. Yi Qinghan's heart was in suspense. Only he knew that Bai Shaoxing said he looked familiar because of the Azura King and not because of the sect's assessment. He could only pray that Bai Shaoxing was a careless person and that her memory had deteriorated. Bai Shaoxing's personality was usually very simple, otherwise, she wouldn't have teased Wulong that day. She didn't care about these outer sect disciples and didn't think too much about it after hearing Yi Qinghan's words. You saw him a year ago? Bai Fengyun looked at Bai Shaoxing and asked in surprise. I think so, he looks very familiar. Big brother, do you suspect him? Bai Shaoxing asked curiously. Bai Fengyun nodded, but soon shook her head and said, Yi Qinghan just came here not long ago. If you saw Li Fei a year ago, it means that he isn't Yi Qinghan. Big brother, are you being oversensitive? If this little rookie is Yi Qinghan, why would he mobilize so many experts and not allow me to go out? Bai Shaoxing snorted. Although there was no disdain in her eyes when she looked at Yi Qinghan, she didn't care. Yi Qinghan couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. It seemed that he had passed today. Bai Fengyun also felt that she was being oversensitive. How could this kind of person be Yi Qinghan? That kind of expert wouldn't pretend to be trash. She nodded and said, Li Fei, go and do your mission. Leave the city as soon as you finish it. Don't stay in the city. Yi Qinghan only wanted to leave as soon as possible. He bowed and left the Bai family. He quickly sent all the resources to the elders and left the city. But just as he left the city, he saw Bai Fengyun and her sister standing at the city gate. Bai Shaoxing stopped Yi Qinghan and wanted to return to the Myriad Law Unification sect with him. Yi Qinghan was helpless. He really did not want to stay with her. If she found out that he was the Azura King and the Azura King was Yi Qinghan, then it would be over. But could he refuse now? Once she refused, Bai Fengyun would know that there was something wrong with her. She could only silently follow behind her and leave the city of 10,000 arts. From time to time, Bai Shaoxing would turn around to look at Yi Qinghan. The more he looked at Yi Qinghan, the more furious he got. Why do you look so familiar? I think I've seen you somewhere before. Bai Shaoxing stopped halfway and stared at Yi Qinghan with his arms crossed. Your Highness, you really think too highly of me. When I saw you last year, you were like a celestial being. I have never forgotten about you. Who would have thought that your Highness would have such a deep impression of me? I'm so grateful. Yi Qinghan pretended to be fawning as he walked forward and said, I wonder if your Highness needs someone to run errands for you? This little one is willing to go through water and tread on fire without hesitation. Don't talk. I feel more and more like I've seen you somewhere before. Cover your face and let me take a look. Bai Shaoxing coldly snorted. Yi Qinghan's heart trembled. He knew that this was bad. He couldn't just kill this little woman, right? Not to mention whether he could kill her or not. Even if he could, it would alarm the experts from all directions. After all, Bai Shaoxing was not a flower vase, but a young expert with great strength. Bai Shaoxing threw a white veil over to Yi Qinghan's face. Yi Qinghan hesitated for a moment before putting it on. However, this white veil was difficult to fit on a man's body. It completely destroyed the feeling. Bai Shaoxing could not connect him to the Azura King. Looks like it's not you. If only I could capture Yi Qinghan or the Azura King. Would Big Brothers still dare to look down on me in the future? Bai Shaoxing coquettishly muttered to herself. Yi Qinghan exhaled a breath of cold air. Looking at Bai Shaoxing's arrogant face, he couldn't help but secretly say, if I appeared in front of you with my true body, would you still be able to capture me? I'll beat you until you can't even use your divine power to create a divine robe. In the end, the two entered the myriad arts returning sect one after another. Bai Shaoxing even specially inquired about Li Fei. She was a little suspicious about Li Fei's sudden burst of strength and the news of him defeating the second strongest expert in the outer sect. However, she did not say anything. Instead, she secretly paid attention to Yi Qinghan after he fell into the inner sect. However, Yi Qinghan disappointed her. Ever since he entered the inner sect, he had been cultivating in seclusion all day long. He did not even show his face and was completely immersed in the martial Tao. Half a month later, Bai Shaoxing could no longer bear it. She smashed open Yi Qinghan's cultivation room and saw that his cultivation level had not increased. However, there was an indescribable feeling about him. It was as if she was facing an expert of the same level. Yi Qinghan put away the great desolate imprisoning heavenly finger iron scroll and the fruit of primal chaos in advance. He pretended to be surprised as he looked at Bai Shaoxing and asked, Princess, what orders do you have for me? You still haven't entered the scripture pavilion. What kind of divine art are you cultivating? Bai Shaoxing questioned. 46 shadowless kicks. There are also a few martial arts techniques that Master taught me. I don't have any contribution points right now, so I can't enter the scripture pavilion. I can only cultivate this divine art. Yi Qinghan said regretfully. The corner of Bai Shaoxing's mouth curled up. She did not believe Yi Qinghan's nonsense. What was so good about cultivating the 46 shadowless kicks? That was just a basic theurgy, a low-grade theurgy. Which inner disciple would practice such a thing? Come out. I want to see how far you've cultivated the 46 shadowless kicks. Bai Shaoxing said coldly. After saying that, Bai Shaoxing walked out of the cultivation room. Yi Qinghan was helpless. He could not figure out Bai Shaoxing's intentions. Could it be that his whereabouts were exposed? On the training ground, many disciples of the myriad principles returned to one sect were cultivating their sword techniques in unison. The myriad principles returned to one sect had gathered to form a great Tao. This was a great Tao that was independent of the six paths. The heavenly Tao did not approve of it, but its power was not inferior to any other great Tao. It was the myriad principles returned to one sect's great Tao. This was the reason why the demon god mountain and the witch tribe were unwilling to offend the myriad principles returned to one sect. The myriad principles returned to one sect emitted light that poured down like a waterfall, illuminating the entire myriad principles returned to one sect. The sect was like a paradise. The disciples were either as handsome as jade or as beautiful as fairies. When they saw Bai Shaoxing appear, they all bowed. The men were filled with admiration while the women were filled with envy. Yi Qinghan felt very uncomfortable following behind Bai Shaoxing. Right now, he wanted nothing more than to lie in his mouse hole and not come out. He wanted to cultivate the great desolate imprisoning heavenly finger to the final stage before swaggering off. Unfortunately, the heavens did not let him do as he wished. He just had to meet Bai Shaoxing. Come. As long as you can touch the corner of my clothes, I'll allow you to enter the scripture pavilion and choose a lesser divine art. Bai Shaoxing said proudly. Yi Qinghan's forehead was covered in sweat. In this lifetime, Bai Shaoxing was probably the only person who dared to speak to him like this. I can touch the corner of your clothes? Yi Qinghan pretended to be surprised as he asked, as if it was very simple. Haha, this brat must have just joined the inner sect. He actually wants to fight the first senior sister and touch her? Even I don't have this ability. The disciples who had been in the inner sect for a few thousand years, including the attendants, all laughed. They were looking down on Yi Qinghan and found it very funny. Yes, as long as you can touch the corner of my clothes, any method will do. Of course, I'll be within this circle. If I'm forced out of this circle, it'll be my loss. Bai Shaoxing pointed with her finger and drew a circle with a diameter of 10 meters. She stood to the side in a carefree manner, looking quite heroic. Chapter 964. Yi Qinghan looked at the circle. Even if he used his high-level God-level cultivation, he could probably touch an overgod's clothes. Moreover, Bai Shaoxing could not attack him. Where did this little girl's arrogance come from? Your Highness, I wouldn't dare. Yi Qinghan said helplessly. I won't attack you. I'll just dodge. What's there to be afraid of? Bai Shaoxing asked coldly. I'm afraid of touching your body and profaning your beauty. Yi Qinghan smiled bitterly. What? Bai Shaoxing thought she had misheard. A half-step Lord-level disciple wanted to touch her body? That was underestimating a overgod. Huh, where did this guy come from? That's right. He wants to touch eldest senior sister's body? He must be dreaming. Many disciples laughed and mocked him. Even the elders smiled, thinking that Li Fei's foolishness was a little cute. Bai Shaoxing was a little arrogant. She said disdainfully, if you can touch my body, I won't blame you. Apart from the top floor, you can choose from any divine ability book in the library. Yi Qinghan pretended to be silly. He scratched his head and said with a smile, I'm sorry to offend you. Yi Qinghan secretly suppressed his cultivation level to the peak of high-level high god. His legs moved like lightning, disappearing without a trace. The stone slabs in the training ground that were confined by the formation rumbled. His long legs stirred up a gust of wind, causing Bai Shaoxing's white clothes to flutter. His black hair danced wildly. His legs moved at extreme speed, brushing past Bai Shaoxing. However, Bai Shaoxing's ability was not to be underestimated. Even though Yi Qinghan's speed was so fast that half-step lords could not defend themselves, she dodged him easily. Whoosh, Bai Shaoxing dodged almost by teleporting. She did not even let Yi Qinghan touch the corner of her clothes. Yi Qinghan's strength was equivalent to that of a peak high god. Although the crowd was surprised, they were still attracted by Bai Shaoxing's elegant figure. Waves of cheers sounded for Bai Shaoxing. Yi Qinghan began to track Bai Shaoxing's movements. It was impossible to catch up to her with just the speed of the exalted goddess. He could only predict her trajectory in advance and use luck to touch her. Swish, swish, bush, bush. The two of them chased and dodged within the circle. Bai Shaoxing wanted to see Yi Qinghan's cultivation technique to see if he was the person he suspected. On the other hand, Yi Qinghan was very careful, not daring to reveal any traces of the Azura King. Pounce, kick, grab, roll, lift, dive. Yi Qinghan used all kinds of methods, but he still couldn't touch Bai Shaoxing's clothes. She was still as graceful as flowing water with her hands behind her back. The disciples of the 10,000 arts returned to one sect gathered and cheered for their goddess. Is that all you've got? This is the fastest way for you to earn contribution points. At first, Bai Shaoxing wanted to test Yi Qinghan. Now, she just wanted to show off her strength. It felt good to be surrounded by stars. Yi Qinghan did not slow down, but the sound of him panting could be heard. It attracted a lot of laughter. "Little girl, how dare you make fun of me? If I don't teach you a lesson today, you won't know your place anymore." Yi Qinghan wasn't able to grab hold of Bai Xiaosheng's clothes for a long time, and he was extremely displeased. With a cold glint in his eyes, he swept his leg across Bai Xiaosheng's lower body. He knew that she had a bad habit of moving backwards every time she tried to dodge. Thus, after sweeping his leg across, he hurriedly stood up and deliberately fell backwards. He opened his arms and quickly covered her escape route. Swish! Yi Qinghan's body tilted. In order to stabilize himself, he pressed his left hand down and lifted his right hand up, trying to grab something. Bai Xiaosheng didn't let him down. She immediately retreated into the spot that Yi Qinghan reserved. Her breasts and buttocks fell into Yi Qinghan's left and right hands. At the big hands slapped and grabbed Bai Xiaosheng. Bai Xiaosheng screamed and lost control of her body. She wanted to dodge the big hands, but she couldn't. Yi Qinghan did it on purpose. He was fast and precise. Although it looked like she fell down in a hurry, it was actually the result of his careful calculation. Another crisp sound. Yi Qinghan's left hand pressed on Bai Xiaosheng's body. Bai Xiaosheng's eyes almost popped out of their sockets. She wanted to raise her buttocks to avoid Yi Qinghan's right hand. But if she lowered her body, it would be like giving her buttocks to Yi Qinghan. She couldn't have her cake and eat it too. There was no way she could escape. No matter where she dodged, the result would be the same. "You bastard! I'll kill you!" Bai Xiaosheng was furious. She wanted to show off a little, but she didn't expect Yi Qinghan to take advantage of her in front of so many people. How could she face others in the future? So she gave Yi Qinghan a slap. This angry slap sent Yi Qinghan flying more than 10 meters away and rolling on the ground. Yi Qinghan was also stunned by this slap. He felt dizzy. "Brat, how dare you blaspheme Grand Senior Sister's Dharma body? I'll kill you!" Boom! Bai Xiaosheng's suitors rushed to the training ground one after another. They drew their swords, wanting to kill Yi Qinghan. Many of them were half-step lords. Even some of the inner sect deacons wanted to attack. Yi Qinghan could not fight back. He cried out immediately, "Your Highness, you must keep your word. I didn't do it on purpose." Only then did Bai Xiaosheng react. She waved her slender arm and mobilized the force around her, sending the attacker flying. Yi Qinghan rolled a few times and crawled back into the circle. He looked terrified, but in reality he was laughing wickedly on the inside. Bai Xiaosheng frowned as she tried to recall how Yi Qinghan had caught her. It seemed like he had fallen to the ground first, and she had jumped into his arms. That had led to the situation earlier. Coincidence? It's definitely a coincidence. Otherwise, how could he have known that I'd retreat? How could he have known the position so well? At that moment, Bai Xiaosheng wished she could dig a hole in the ground. She looked at everyone's wide-eyed expressions. Their mouths were wide open, and they looked exactly like how she had been groped. She was too embarrassed to face anyone. "It's all your fault, you bastard!" Bai Xiaosheng roared angrily. "Your Highness, I really didn't do it on purpose. I fell, and you ran in that direction yourself." Yi Qinghan pleaded as if he wanted to cry but had no tears. "How dare you! Just you wait. If I find out that you did it on purpose, I'll chop off all 5 of your limbs." Bai Xiaosheng was so angry that she was about to cry. Apart from being seen naked by the Azura King, another man had touched her 2 forbidden areas. How was she going to get married in the future? Was she going to marry a good-for-nothing exalted god? Bai Xiaosheng looked at the elder in the training ground with tears in her eyes. She said in a sobbing voice, "Masters Junior Zhou, did you see clearly just now? Did this little bastard do it on purpose?" Elder Zhou was a sovereign god, and he had seen the battle clearly. This matter really couldn't be blamed on Yi Qinghan. He couldn't help but smile bitterly. Xiaosheng, it was this inner sect disciple who first swept his leg, but he didn't have enough energy. He fell to the right half of his leg. You, on the other hand, took the initiative to move in the direction he fell. Chapter 965. Even the elders tried to clear Yi Qinghan's name. Bai Shaoxing looked at Yi Qinghan's strange expression and felt a little exasperated. At this moment, everyone's eyes were filled with the desire to crush Yi Qinghan into pieces and throw him into the 18th level of hell. A dignified goddess was actually touched by a nobody. It was like a big bowl of honey being stained with a little blood. It was tasteless, but a pity to throw it away. Yi Qinghan smiled bitterly. He just wanted to teach her a lesson, but he didn't expect it to be so serious. He could only wait for Bai Shaoxing to deal with him. Follow me. Bai Shaoxing scolded Yi Qinghan word by word. Whoosh! Bai Shaoxing turned around, his white robe fluttering, and walked towards the scripture library of the All Arts Return to One sect. Yi Qinghan silently followed behind. The two soon arrived outside the scripture library. The scripture library was a 9-story tower that spiraled upwards, exuding a majestic aura. At the entrance, there was a white-haired old man leaning on a chair, basking in the sun. The old man's age was unknown. His white beard was half a meter long, and there wasn't a single strand of silver hair that was black. He was probably going to die in the next few years. Looking at the ordinary old man, Yi Qinghan felt a sense of trepidation. He didn't even open his eyes, but he had the ability to see through Yi Qinghan's heart. Although Bai Shaoxing was in a bad mood, he still smiled at the old man, revealing a row of white teeth. He said sweetly, "Great-grandfather, I've brought an inner disciple to collect a few secret techniques. I'll chat with you when I come out later. And don't go to the top floor. You can't go in either." The old man still didn't open his eyes. His voice was hoarse, as if it didn't come from his mouth, but from the depths of the universe. Bai Shaoxing nodded repeatedly and promised not to enter the top floor. He then led Yi Qinghan into the scripture library. Yi Qinghan walked past the old man, his clothes drenched in cold sweat. When he stepped into the scripture library, he couldn't help but shiver. "Since you dared to come, why would you be afraid?" A hoarse voice sounded from the depths of Yi Qinghan's soul. Yi Qinghan's body stiffened and he couldn't move. This was a true expert, a true invincible expert. Although he was an overgod, he was not on the same level as a second-rate overgod like Yi Qinghan. He could not even be compared to the overgods of the outside world. Although he was frightened, he was relieved. He knew that the old man wouldn't expose his identity. Although he was frightened, he was relieved, I allowed you to enter the Transcendent Coalescence sect. Perhaps you can enter the scripture library. Do you know why? The old man didn't move, as if he had fallen asleep, but he was secretly transmitting his voice to Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan swallowed his saliva and replied with a hoarse voice, "Thank you for taking care of me, senior. I understand what you mean. It's for the sake of balance. I also hope that I can join forces with the Transcendent Coalescence sect in the future when the two factions fight to protect their heritage. Remember today. Go in." After the old man finished speaking, he silently sent Yi Qinghan behind Bai Shaoxing. Bai Shaoxing didn't notice, and Yi Qinghan didn't have the power to resist. Yi Qinghan's legs felt like they were floating. It was hard to imagine encountering such a terrifying existence. It would be a lie to say that he wasn't afraid. If such an existence wanted to kill him, it would only take a thought. It was probably similar to the serpent god at its peak. The 3rd floor and above were for inner disciples. Only inner disciples could enter with contribution points. The 6th floor was for deacons and inner elite disciples. The 7th floor was for elders and super elites. The 8th floor had been entered by sect leader Bai Yelu, Bai Fengyun, and Bai Yelu once. As for the 9th floor, even Bai Yelu had never entered. Other than the old man guarding the door who knew what was inside, no one else knew. Bai Shaoxing brought Yi Qinghan to the 3rd floor. He was very unhappy and glared at him. "You can choose any 3 books, from the 3rd to the 5th floor. As for the books above the 6th floor, don't read them if you don't understand them. They won't do you any good." Bai Shaoxing wasn't in a good mood. He glanced at Yi Qinghan's big hands and wanted to chop them off. Yi Qinghan smiled awkwardly and asked in a low voice, "Can I read a little more and browse through it?" "You can read as long as you want." Bai Shaoxing rolled his eyes at Yi Qinghan and went to the 7th floor to read the ancient books and study the history of chaos. Yi Qinghan heard this and didn't stand on ceremony. He looked around at the secret arts and powerful skills. Just this foundation alone was enough for the insane sect to pursue for tens of thousands of years. The library looked small from the outside, but it was a different world inside. Yi Qinghan kept flipping through the secret arts. Regardless of whether they were useful or not, he memorized them first. He read 10 lines at a glance. His monstrous memory allowed him to remember everything he saw. Swoosh, swoosh. He flipped through the books very quickly. In half an incense's time, he had flipped through a metal scroll. The 3rd and 4th floors of the secret arts were more simple. To Yi Qinghan, he could understand them with one look. It didn't waste time. On the first day, he spent all his time on the 3rd floor. Bai Shaoxing walked down from the 7th floor curiously and found that he was still on the 3rd floor. Every metal scroll had been moved. He frowned and asked, "You can't have read every book, right? What a waste of time. You only read the names of the secret arts and skills. If you're interested, you can read them again. If you continue reading like this, won't you take 3 to 4 days?" Yi Qinghan closed the last book and exhaled. The rest of the books are too simple and shallow. They are not powerful at all. I'm not interested in them at all. Your Highness, can I go to the 4th floor and have a look? Simple? Shallow? Not much power? Bai Shaoxing was a little angry. Which of the secret arts that could be collected by the 10,000 techniques returned to one sect's library wouldn't be taken out? Have you read this 9 abstruse sword techniques? If you cultivate this original aura explosive fist to its peak, you can kill a half-step lord with a single punch. It'll take you at least a few decades to fully comprehend these 2 secret arts. How can you say that they're simple and not much power? I thought you were a cultivation maniac, but now it looks like you're just an idiot, Bai Shaoxing said angrily as he casually grabbed the 2 metal scrolls. Yi Qinghan said very seriously, "That's right. They're quite simple. I've read them and learned them all." Bai Shaoxing shuddered all over. He was furious with Yi Qinghan. Did he think he was a peerless genius, a future god of war, to be able to learn them with just a glance? All right. You've learned them. Let's see how much power you can unleash. If you can't even unleash 1 level, I'll kill you today. Bai Shaoxing was a little incoherent as he dragged Yi Qinghan directly to the training room on the 3rd floor. The library was not just a collection of books, it also had a separate training space. There was only one room, hidden behind a bookshelf. The bookshelf would open automatically when the mechanism was triggered. Bai Shaoxing was familiar with this place, so he soon opened the mechanism. A spacious training room appeared before him. It was made of mystic iron and stainless steel. Even a lord would have a hard time destroying it. There were 18 different types of weapons neatly arranged inside. Swoosh. Bai Shaoxing sealed the door and said coldly, "Come, let's fight again. Use your original aura explosive fist to fight me. No nonsense. If you make me feel any pain, I'll let you stay in the library for another day." Yi Qinghan recalled the profundity of the original aura explosive fist. He knew that this fist technique gathered divine power in one's fist to form a massive vigor. When it came into contact with the enemy, it would explode with the force of a lightning strike. It was a top-grade divine technique of an exalted god. In the outside world, it would be worth at least hundreds of thousands of supreme-grade divine crystals. Be careful, Your Highness. Yi Qinghan crossed his legs and gathered divine power in his fist. Every drop of divine power contained destructive vigor. It was colorful and extremely violent, and it could explode at any time. Bai Shaoxing wanted to teach Yi Qinghan a lesson, so he raised his cultivation base to half-step lord level. His fist turned into a long arc as he struck Yi Qinghan's chest. Chapter 966. Bang. The 2 of them collided forcefully in a flash. Boom. Whoosh. Yi Qinghan's fist glowed brilliantly as his chi exploded. The sharp aura destroyed Bai Shaoxing's defenses and penetrated her limbs and bones through her fist. Ouch! Bai Shaoxing shrieked as a piercing pain came from her fist. She retreated more than 10 steps and slammed into the wall. She held her fists together as tears streamed down her face. Her little mouth kept exhaling as she wrapped her little fist in a fragrant scent. She wanted to ease the pain, but it was futile. "You son of a bitch!" Bai Xiaosheng burst into tears. Although Yi Qinghan's cultivation level was suppressed, his physical body was still that of a holy celestial. She only wanted to teach Yi Qinghan a lesson, not kill him. She did not even use her full strength. How could a half-step Lord level attack Yi Qinghan's physical body? Yi Qinghan was stunned. Seeing Bai Xiaosheng's face twitch, he knew that he had used too much strength. He quickly ran forward to help her up. "Get lost." "So, it hurts." Bai Xiaosheng's body was priceless. She had never been in pain before. She screamed hysterically. "I didn't do it on purpose," Yi Qinghan said with a wry smile. "Li Fei, is this your first time learning the explosive astral fist?" Bai Xiaosheng's eyes were filled with suspicion. She was even more suspicious of Yi Qinghan's background. Yi Qinghan nodded. It was true that he had never cultivated it before. "Give me your sword. I want you to perform the 9 mystery sword technique again. Show me the first 3 moves and the last 3 moves." Bai Xiaosheng did not dare to experiment on herself anymore. She asked Yi Qinghan to perform it himself. Yi Qinghan went to the weapon rack and pulled out a good quality sword. With a wave of his hand, 3 sword flowers appeared out of thin air. Swoosh, swoosh. Yi Qinghan performed all 9 moves according to the 9 mysteries sword technique. His moves were as smooth as flowing water, and the changes in his moves made it seem like he had been practicing for decades. His sword chi was very pure. He's not the Azura King. The Azura King's saber intent is very pure. This Li Fei sword intent is so pure, it must be the result of long-term sword practice. Am I overthinking things? Bai Xiaosheng was puzzled. He found it unbelievable that Li Fei had managed to learn the 2 techniques with just a glance. This was more than just a genius. Even she and Bai Fengyun couldn't do this. "Follow me to the 4th floor." Bai Xiaosheng opened the door to the training room and forcefully dragged Yi Qinghan to the 4th floor. He directly chose a mystic fingerprint technique and gave it to him. "I'll give you an incense stick's worth of time to learn it, or I'll beat you to death." Bai Xiaosheng wanted to verify if Yi Qinghan was a genius, or if he had learned the 2 secret techniques before. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to display such strength. Yi Qinghan took the mystic fingerprint technique. It was also a finger technique, but it was far from the great desolate imprisoning heavenly finger. He quickly flipped through it and quickly understood it. The tiny person in his consciousness secretly demonstrated it a few times and easily grasped it. However, this was too exaggerated. He was worried that Bai Xiaosheng would be suspicious, so he pretended to be deep in thought. After an incense stick's worth of time, he closed the metal scroll, indicating that he had learned it. Bai Xiaosheng's eyes were full of suspicion. She then brought Yi Qinghan to the training room on the 4th floor. After suffering a few losses, she learned her lesson and used all her strength to defend herself. She then said coldly, "You used the mystic fingerprint technique to attack me. If you hurt me this time, not only will I not blame you, I will also forget about what you did to me in the past." Yi Qinghan discovered that this little girl's masochistic tendencies were very serious. His fingertips moved slightly. He knew that he couldn't injure her this time. Otherwise, she would really suspect that he had succeeded if he could force her to take a step back. What? Yi Qinghan raised his right index finger and middle finger. Godly power pulsed on his fingertips, and a seemingly ordinary attack suddenly erupted. The mystic fingerprint technique pierced through the void and appeared in front of Bai Xiaosheng's chest. Boom! Bai Xiaosheng's jade-like hands overlapped, and her sovereign power was mobilized. She forcefully attacked the mystic fingerprint technique. Her body shook violently, but she didn't retreat. Instead, she blocked Yi Qinghan's attack. Yi Qinghan didn't continue attacking. Instead, he looked at Bai Xiaosheng's surprised face and knew that his performance was too shocking. However, Bai Xiaosheng no longer doubted Yi Qinghan's identity. She really thought of him as a peerless genius, a genius that hadn't been discovered yet. Now that she had discovered him, she felt a sense of accomplishment. "Follow me to the 5th floor." Bai Shaoxing was quite cautious. The secret arts on the first floor weren't considered sealed. Other sects had them as well, but those above the fifth floor could only be cultivated by the inner disciples of the myriad principles coalescing sect. It was impossible for other sects to have them. As long as Yi Qinghan passed the fifth and sixth floor, she wouldn't have any more doubts. Yi Qinghan had no choice but to follow her up the stairs. At the fifth floor, the mysteries of the secret arts were extremely profound. Even a young genius would need several years or even decades to fully comprehend any of them. It was impossible to do it overnight. However, Bai Shaoxing was greedy and had high hopes for Yi Qinghan. From the metal scroll, he found a rather profound technique called the body tempering scripture. It was a technique that specialized in refining one's body. It could cultivate one's physical body to perfection. It was a path that one had to go through in order to achieve sainthood. Yi Qinghan saw the body-tempering Tao scripture from afar. He couldn't help but shrug. His body was already at perfection. This scripture was useless to him. He didn't even need to cultivate it. He could already unleash the power of the scripture. Come, be good and learn this technique. Is 2 hours enough? If not, then 4 hours. Big sister has plenty of patience. As long as you help me maintain my reputation and don't embarrass me, I'll be fine. Bai Shaoxing danced excitedly with the iron scroll. She had forgotten everything that had happened before. She wanted to create a perfect disciple to surpass her brother Bai Fengyun. She wanted her father to stop looking down on her because she was a girl. Ahem. Yi Qinghan coughed dryly. He had entered the Sutra Pavilion to secretly learn the secret arts, not to cultivate for her. He thought for a moment, then said, I can, but this technique is very profound. I can't be disturbed. Can you go out? Don't let anyone in for 4 hours. I can cultivate in peace. There won't be a problem. When Bai Shaoxing heard this, she immediately promised, cultivate in peace. If you succeed, I will take you in as my last disciple. Yi Qinghan's forehead was covered in cold sweat. He looked at Bai Shaoxing's serious expression and took the opportunity to flatter her. After sending Bai Shaoxing away, he was the only one left on the 5th floor. He quickly began to read the other secret arts. He was hungry and thirsty. He couldn't wait to bring all the techniques back to the arrogant sect. However, time was limited. He had to be selective. He focused on offensive techniques, followed by defensive ones. He memorized all the alchemy techniques and brought them back. Bai Shaoxing was still waiting outside excitedly. She didn't know that Yi Qinghan wasn't even reading the body-tempering Tao scripture. He was learning other techniques. Chapter 967. During these 2 hours, Bai Shaoxing stopped dozens of disciples from entering the 5th level. She wanted to give Yi Qinghan some time to cultivate in peace. As time passed, Yi Qinghan quickly flipped through the ancient books. Some of the seemingly useless secret techniques were discarded. Until the last moment, Yi Qinghan picked up the tempered body Tao scripture and pretended to cultivate it. This was the tempered body technique, except that it was 10,000 times more advanced. No matter how advanced the tempered body technique was, it was all for the sake of sanctifying the body. Moreover, it was the initial stage of sanctifying the body. It was no different from Yi Qinghan's current realm. After a rough understanding, he realized that the scripture also contained offensive techniques. Most of them were fist and kick techniques. These were his strong points. Moreover, Bai Shaoxing obviously did not cultivate the tempered body Tao scripture. Otherwise, she would not have been beaten to tears by his punch. Therefore, it was not a problem to fool her. Dong dong dong. Bai Shaoxing knocked on the door excitedly. Then she pushed the door open and entered. She looked at Yi Qinghan expectantly and asked, How is it? How's your cultivation? It's not much of a problem. However, if you want to strengthen the body, it can't be done overnight. Moreover, you need a large amount of precious resources to complement the tempered body Tao scripture. I'm almost done with the offensive techniques in the scripture, but the body. Yi Qinghan explained calmly. Show me the offensive techniques. Bai Shaoxing requested excitedly. External hard body techniques were the closest to the true Tao. Although it did not have the beauty of divine arts, It had a violent beauty that divine arts could not compare to. Yi Qinghan demonstrated a few offensive techniques. Bai Shaoxing was very excited. She decided to train Yi Qinghan properly. Hurry up and pick out 3 books that are suitable for you. I will bring you to the 10,000 Laws Sacred Realm to cultivate. In a few days, it will be the 10,000 Laws Sacred Realms competition. You will participate as my disciple. Don't embarrass me, understand? Bai Shaoxing stared at Yi Qinghan, not giving him a chance to refuse. The 10,000 Laws Sacred Realm was the place where the true elites of the 10,000 Laws returned to one sect cultivated. The spirit chi there was so dense that it almost turned into liquid. There were thousands of divine herbs, and one day of cultivation in the sacred realm was equivalent to a few months in the outside world. Many inner sect disciples couldn't get the chance to enter no matter how hard they tried. Only the top 10 disciples of the 100 Years competition could enter, but Bai Shaoxing had the privilege. Can I go to a higher level to look for a divine ability? Can I study the divine canon of the 10,000 arts? They spent half a year searching through thousands of large cities and tens of thousands of small cities in the 10,000 Laws domain. However, they didn't even find Yi Qinghan's shadow. They searched the barren mountains and ridges but still couldn't find him. Demon God Mountain was furious. The 10,000 Laws domain was even more furious. Yi Qinghan was a bomb that could explode and turn the 10,000 Laws domain into rivers of blood at any time. He hasn't left the 10,000 Laws domain. Now, only the city of 10,000 Laws and the sect are left to search. Bai Yelu led a large group of powerhouses to the city of 10,000 Laws. He didn't believe that Yi Qinghan could enter the city of 10,000 Laws without anyone noticing. Bai Fengyun's white robes fluttered. He had been standing guard outside the city for half a year without moving. At that moment, he said very firmly, "Father, I'm certain that I've checked everyone who enters the city. Yi Qinghan definitely can't enter the city of 10,000 Laws. Apart from the city of 10,000 Laws, there's only the 10,000 Laws returned to one sect left. Don't tell me he can sneak into the 10,000 Laws returned to one sect?" The Holy Sovereign King flew into a rage out of humiliation. Not only had he failed to capture Yi Qinghan this time, but he had also lost the great desolate imprisoning heavenly finger. He would definitely be punished when he returned. Most importantly, he had utterly embarrassed himself. How is that possible? There are so many powerhouses in the sect. It's impossible for him to sneak in. Bai Yelu retorted with certainty. The 10,000 Laws domain has been sealed off. We've searched the entire region but found no trace of him. He's either in the 10,000 Laws city or in the 10,000 Laws returned to one sect. Brother Bai, these 2 places are forbidden to you. This king doesn't want to make things difficult for you, so please conduct a thorough investigation. Is that all right? Bai Yelu's forehead was covered in sweat. If Yi Qinghan really sneaked into the city of 10,000 Laws or the 10,000 Laws returned to one sect, that would be crossing his bottom line. Father, he didn't have the chance to enter the city of 10,000 Laws. However, we've all overlooked one point. That's the Guei sect. The older generation experts there are as many as clouds. No one would think that he has the guts to enter the sect. However, he might very well do the opposite. As the saying goes, the most dangerous place is the safest place. He might really be in the sect. Bai Fengyun's brows furrowed as he gripped the divine sword in his hand. He seemed to have thought of the person, Li Fei, and was instantly horrified. If it was really him, then it would be really bad. Chapter 968. In Saint Territory, Yi Qinghan cultivated Ninth Heaven Inferno, Departing Sword Style, and Absolute Palm diligently. Bai Shaoxing had become his stepping stone, and she was having a lot of fun. After fighting thousands of rounds with Yi Qinghan in Saint Territory, her combat strength of the same level had increased by more than 10 times. In particular, Yi Qinghan would secretly pass on his combat experience to her, but she thought she had figured it out on her own. Boom! At that moment, Yi Qinghan unleashed the combat strength of a peak half-step lord level as he fought Bai Shaoxing in the middle of Saint Territory. He had cultivated Ninth Heaven Inferno and the other 2 techniques to their peak. His departing sword style had evolved Sword Dao to the extreme. Yi Qinghan's understanding of the departing sword style far surpassed Bai Xiaoxing's. Yi Qinghan was improving, and so was Bai Xiaoxing. The two of them fought in Saint territory after cultivating. The two of them danced in the sky, exchanging blows. Time passed by slowly. Bai Xiaoxing would go into closed-door cultivation for a while after comprehending some of the technique's mysteries. Yi Qinghan would take the opportunity to cultivate the great desolate imprisoning heavenly finger. Sometimes, he would charge into the depths of Saint territory to fight primordial mutants. After fighting in Saint territory for half a year, Yi Qinghan finally cultivated the great desolate imprisoning heavenly finger to minor success with the help of the fruit of chaos. He could crush a small planet with a single finger. Even lords would have to avoid him. On this day, Yi Qinghan fought Bai Xiaoxing again. He secretly demonstrated the secret of the absolute palm's mental cultivation method. Bai Xiaoxing realized that compared to the young man before her, she was not suited to cultivate. The two of them used the same techniques and secret skills, but the difference in power was like heaven and earth. Bai Xiaoxing was embarrassed to let Yi Qinghan teach her divine abilities. She could only let Yi Qinghan attack her weaknesses through battle so that she could improve. Yi Qinghan did not disappoint her. He forcefully found the weaknesses of all her secret skills and techniques. Bai Xiaoxing was now looking at Yi Qinghan. Although there was doubt in his eyes, there was even more admiration. That kind of cultivation talent was not something that could be achieved by ordinary people. Are you really Li Fei? Bai Xiaoxing raised his head and asked in admiration. Yi Qinghan smiled and nodded. Yes, I'm Li Fei. If I find out that you're not, I'll definitely beat you to death. Bai Xiaoxing raised her fist and threatened. Sure, beautiful master. Yi Qinghan licked his teeth and teased in a low voice. It's good that you know that I'm your teacher. Bai Xiaoxing's face reddened in embarrassment. It felt like he wasn't the one teaching his disciple these past few days, but his disciple was the one teaching him instead. In terms of improvement, his fighting prowess had increased by leaps and bounds, and he even had the confidence to stand against his elder brother. Outside the 10,000 Arts returning sect, a large number of experts surrounded the place. The 4 battle constitutions and the Holy Lord all stepped into the sect, accompanied by Yelu and the others. All disciples, gather, including the outer sect disciples. Bai Fengyun walked towards the training ground with his sword in hand and roared. His voice echoed throughout the sect, and his aura didn't lose out to any of the battle constitutions. Bush. All the disciples of the returning sect gathered. There were a total of 100,000 outer sect disciples and thousands of inner sect disciples. Each of them had a dignified appearance, and their battle-intent soared. Bai Yelu walked towards the training ground with the experts in tow. He looked majestic as he stared at all the disciples in the sect. Bai Fengyun scanned the outside, but couldn't find Li Fei. He couldn't help but look at Bai Yuqi and ask, Deacon Bai, where's your disciple, Li Fei? Young master, he has already joined the inner sect. I heard that Princess Xiaoxing brought him to the Holy Realm to cultivate. Bai Yuqi quickly replied. Regarding Li Fei, did anyone notice anything different about him? Anyone who provides any clues will be promoted to an inner sect disciple immediately. And 1,000 contribution points. Bai Fengyun's eyes flashed coldly as he asked. I know. Senior brother, this Li Fei suddenly became a lot stronger. He was just a piece of trash in the past, but half a year ago he suddenly swept through the outer sect and forcefully entered the inner sect. The people who were previously beaten up by Yi Qinghan jumped out and shouted excitedly. They knew that they had made a contribution this time. Bai Fengyun turned to look at Bai Yelu and the rest. He was almost certain that Li Fei was Yi Qinghan. He didn't enter any city, but he actually snuck into the returning sect and even went to the Holy Realm. Bai Yelu was furious. He was driven mad by Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan stole his top-tier chief god mystique and even seduced his daughter to sneak into the 10,000 Techniques Holy Realm. He said to the 3 elders and Bai Fengyun, follow me in and take him out. We'll go in too. The Sage King immediately requested. The 10,000 Techniques Holy Realm is my sect's foundation, and it's not suitable for fighting. Only the entrance and exit of the Holy Realm are the same, so he can't escape. Fellow cultivators, wait at the practice field. Bai Yelu refused without hesitation. After saying that, Bai Yelu led the 3 top-tier elders, Bai Fengyun, and the realmling Yi Jingxing to the entrance of the 10,000 Techniques Holy Realm and directly rushed into its depths. At this moment, Yi Qinghan was still cultivating secret techniques with Bai Shaoxing and comprehending the Great Tao. While the two of them were sparring, Yi Qinghan had secretly learned the 10,000 Techniques Great Tao's divine abilities, and his cultivation had improved by leaps and bounds. The two of them had been exhausted for half a day and were currently resting in a valley. They didn't know that the 10,000 Techniques returning sect had already found their tracks. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Several figures sped through the air, leaving streaks of light in their wake. Yi Qinghan and Bai Shaoxing simultaneously looked up at the figures speeding towards them and were shocked. "Little sister, quickly leave him. He's Yi Qinghan." Bai Fengyun angrily roared from afar. "Yi Qinghan, you brat, this is my 10,000 Techniques Holy Realm. There's no exit, so hurry up and surrender." Bai Yelu angrily roared. Bai Shaoxing was stunned. She had just turned around to look at Yi Qinghan when she discovered that Yi Qinghan had transformed into a bolt of lightning and directly grabbed her by the neck. Yi Qinghan's facial muscles contorted, and his physical body finally returned to its original form. There was no longer any mockery or other emotions in his eyes, only coldness. Where was the relationship between master and disciple? Bai Shaoxing's neck was tightly gripped, and she couldn't even move. When she saw Yi Qinghan's cold gaze, her heart shattered. "You are." Bai Shaoxing's eyes didn't contain any fear, but there was an unconcealable heartache and despair. "I'm sorry for deceiving you," Yi Qinghan coldly replied. "Yi Qinghan, for better or for worse, you're still a powerhouse. How shameless are you to take a little girl as a hostage?" Bai Fengyun angrily pointed her sword, her aura soaring to the heavens. Screech! Realmling Yi Qinghan was brimming with killing intent. The 3-foot-long sword isolated the surrounding Great Tao and enveloped Yi Qinghan within its sword domain. Bai Yelu was cold and emotionless. He looked at Yi Qinghan's grip on Bai Shaoxing's neck and sneered, "There is no one in my Bai family who fears death. For the sake of the 10,000 Techniques returned to one sect, I can sacrifice this daughter of mine. Yi Qinghan, stop struggling. Release her now and return the great desolate imprisoning heavenly finger to me, and you might still have a chance to live. Otherwise, you won't even be able to see anyone from demonic God Mountain." Yi Qinghan's right hand trembled, causing Berserk Rebirth to appear in his hand. His left hand continued to grip Bai Shaoxing as he slowly retreated. He shook his head and said, "I'm going to die whether I release her or not, so why should I?" "Sect Master Bai Shaoxing is your only daughter. If you have the heart to give her up, then I will have the heart to kill her. I won't be able to escape today, and neither Bai Fengyun nor Bai Shaoxing will be able to escape. Let's see if you will end your bloodline for the sake of the great desolate imprisoning heavenly finger."